technical issues.
Yeah.
I think he always has technical issues.
Who's that? Who else is there?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Wanted to talk about governance.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just over here watching that video that you guys posted about the rules for rulers. That was pretty good so far. Just kind of explains, I don't know if you watched it or not, but it explains some good stuff about kind of the purpose of rules. Like, who needs rules? Right. People that are being controlled.
Right.
What is that in the background? It's way noisy.
I think it was decentralized.
That's the TV in the background here.
Okay, it's very noisy.
Yeah, it's too loud.
Yeah. We also have a friend of mine online. He's from Morocco. I think he will just listen maybe to what we're saying, because I think he's also interested in governance and such things. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe Carl, you wanna maybe talk a little bit about what you were thinking of governance at the moment on PIVX?
Yeah. Okay. So at the moment, what I was thinking for the system was adhering to, I don't want to say laws, but to the ideals that we set out in the manifesto. So basically that everything is voluntary and people have got the freedom to be anonymous so they can keep their privacy. That said, as the community grows bigger, we're going to have to move away from, or in my opinion, we're going to have to move away from this swarm thing and more towards a corporate mentality, or at least some sort of structure for various reasons. So what I was thinking was away from having lines set up. So we're gonna have to separate the community, not even separate it, but we're gonna have different people are gonna have to do different things, and away from doing it on a geographical way, like conventional politics. I think we should do it in a way which is split more along ability and tasks. So the different things that we're trying to do, we should split along those lines, and we should have representatives or representative bodies, even if they've got 3 members, 5 members, 50 members, it doesn't matter. But we should have representative bodies which have got their own governance in place based on what they're doing. And we should run it in that type of way and have the master nodes vote the representatives in, and then have standards set so that when we are voting when we are voting people into positions, we can have them vetted in the correct way. So everybody in the community can get their chance to say whether they want it, don't want it, X, Y, Z. That's an outline of what I think is the best way to do it.
So if I understand you right, hey, Cryptosty, how are you? If I understand you right, you like the idea of the Fermat chapter system, but you criticize that it's bound to countries or to lands and...
Yeah, 100%. The chapter system is the best way to do anything. Like for conflict resolution, because you're going to get conflict, you have to do it in a federated way. So you have to have smaller things working for the greater good. And that's what I liked about Fermat. But because Fermat was based along state-drawn lines, which have got nothing at all to do with freedom or anything else apart from the stealing of resources, which we don't really care about. It's got nothing really to do with what we're doing. I thought state-drawn lines was a bad idea from the start. In some ways it's good because obviously you've got language, you've got fiat currencies, which state-drawn lines like share in common. But other than that, I think state-drawn lines is a bad idea to start with, especially due to the fact that we don't really work along state-drawn lines. Like, of all the people here in this call, we're probably all in different countries. trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, actually, we at Fermat had initially the vision in mind that we let the people set up their own chapters, not bound to any state boundaries. And the problem we had is that we have a time frame in which we like to release stuff, and we have a roadmap, and we have investors, and then, you know, we have a lot of duties and a lot of things that came across. And so we thought, okay, how can we solve this problem? And then we said, okay, let's start first with the countries. Then we open up, and we are now doing, we open up Argentina and the USA. So you can have now chapters on a state level and then go down to metropolitan areas. Still, honestly, this is not my personal best approach. So, but we had the choice, and we decided to go this way because we have, you know, imagine you set up a chapter and you like to trade Bitcoins. It is likely that in a couple of months or in 1, 2, 3 years, we will face a lot of regulation issues. And so some chapters will have the possibility in certain countries to do business unregulated, others will well regulated and still allowed to do business, like in Switzerland, and there will be some that are completely free and whatever. But if you have it like in an anarchic system without any legal framework, then investors maybe yeah, they would say maybe this is too anarchistic, we don't like anarchy, and you see this coin is suspicious and this and that. And now by bounding it to countries, we face less issues with talking to local authorities, and people are more open to us, say, chapter in Germany, chapter Germany, how are the laws in Germany? In Germany we have, you know, so but the ideal thing certainly should not be bound to any state level boundaries. And yes, I give you completely right here. You're right. Yeah, but you know, duties, man, duties. Yeah.
So what I thought was, with regards to PIVX moving forward, I thought that if we were to invest in anything, and if the a blockchain or whatever you want to call it, the community, the currency, whatever you want to call it, was to grow, generally, initially, it will grow within decentralized technology itself. So if the blockchain could earn, a living or could earn more money, we would set up, like, let's say, for example, a decentralized exchange. So something like Poloniex, but instead of being owned by the couple of guys that own Poloniex, it would be owned by the blockchain. So the blockchain would issue equity using some other decentralized, like NXT or something like that. And then we would make decisions using our own governance methods, maybe masternodes, maybe something else. Because we're working with decentralized things first and foremost, because that would probably be the best thing for us to do, so that we don't get attacked by the American World Police or whoever else gets upset when we start taking a piece of their pie. Once we start, if we start doing things in that way, to me, it would make a little bit more sense. So state lines in that instance wouldn't really matter. And also investors who would invest would already be investing via Bitcoin anyways. They'd already be in that ecosystem. See, the thing is, with like something like PIVX, investors would say, okay, or let's say Fermat, investors would say, okay, like, it's brilliant, there's a German chapter, or it's brilliant, there's a Argentinian chapter, or whatever, because they're planning on using their Argentinian pesos or whatever they are, their German euros, so that they can buy these things, and then they're going to pay their taxes, and they're going to follow all of those state-drawn laws. Whereas generally, within crypto, when people make money from crypto, they don't bother to tell their state-appointed robbers or taxmen that they've made money in pounds or euros or dollars. See what I mean? So depending on what you plan on doing, I think depends or depicts to a large extent.
Exactly.
I want to draw the lines, if that makes sense.
Yes, I mean, if you see, we had from the beginning the focus on getting universities in and talking to businesses and governments and authorities. This is a completely different approach than many of the cryptocurrencies out there are doing. And you see that
Yeah,
from the beginning, we had a quite good start. The people, we have a high token price, low volume, because a lot of people don't trust it. That we will make it against or with together with institutions. But so we are trying to be something in between, talking to businesses, institutions, but also to community. But
yeah,
by talking to businesses and getting them into the boat, and we do. We have currently a lot of news I cannot release now, but we are talking with huge companies that will do a lot of cool stuff together with us. And so this is anticipating the high token price. And the people or the businesses tend to say, yeah, this is not an anarchic style system. This sounds solid. We can do business. Yeah, while people like you and me, normal, ordinary people that love Bitcoin and love to be independent and just do their stuff freely, they certainly have a completely different opinion about this task. But where is the money? You know, this is always the question.
yeah. You know what? I think that was for me. That was one of the main reasons I like the whole Fermat idea. Is that it was based in not theory, but it was based in uh, it was like based in learning, like academia. I don't know. Yeah, it was based in academia. Like it was based in learning. It was based in things like that. So I understood that you was trying to get like students in, people who are really focused on actual governance to come in and then build what it was. And the main reason why even I was inviting you guys over to PIVX was because I was thinking the exact same thing. Because at the end of the day, realistically, we're on the frontier of brand new technology. Like we're doing brand new things. We're thinking in brand new ways. Everything is brand new. So it's going to be almost impossible for anybody, like even me, and I like to think I know it all, but even me, it's going to be impossible for me to know what will be the perfect way to govern this monster that we're making. It's going to be impossible. So what we have to do is we have to get the best minds on board and sit down and thrash out the best ideas based on the technology that we have. And that's the reason why with things like the other servers, the profile servers, and the other technology that we can bring in from other blockchains, if we do bring it in, it will change drastically the things that we can achieve based on the technology that we've got. Because what I like to think is like what I like to think is the way the world is governed now, not the world, but let's say like for all of the people that are in PIVX at the moment, the Western world, we've got delegates in areas based on geographical lines. We have elections once every 4 years, but this is all based on technology, which is 400 years old. This is all based on technology, there was no phones, there was no motor vehicles. There was just a guy on a horse who would ride around the village and try to get consensus based on knocking on people's doors or shouting in the street. And then he would go to the capital city and try and convey that message. Right. Nowadays, we can communicate like basically horizontally. Everybody's got the power to broadcast. So that way of governing, it's no good for the way we live now, even though it has been like developed through generations. It's no good for the way we live now. I think we need something that's similar to that, but holds people accountable, and you can get people in and out a lot quicker. So let's say, for example, the other day we had the problem where somebody said something like, "Oh, so who's accountable for the website? Why has this happened, or why has there not been a temporary page put up?" And basically, there was nobody accountable. And because we've got the technology in place where we can put someone in that position within a few days. Realistically, we should have done that, and that's the way we should do things. Somebody should be put in a position within a few days, and if they're not doing what they claim to be doing, and we can check it because we've got transparent transactions. So everything that they do, at least financially, is transparent. If they're not doing what they should be doing, somebody can put for another proposal and say, okay, this person said they were going to do blah, blah, blah. They haven't done it. Let's get them out. And then we have people representing us doing certain tasks for as long as they're doing them correctly. As soon as they're not doing them, then we get them out. I think that will be a good basis to start.
Yeah, I mean, this is the whole positive thing about decentralization, that you are open. Everything is open, and you can control and get controlled with the tasks you do and what should be done. I think this is real positive.
Yeah. So, like with regard to the Fermat idea, where it was based on geographical lines, like state-drawn lines, like that wasn't the worst thing in the world, providing that model can remain fluid. Providing things can remain fluid, I think will be okay, because technology now moves fast. So, okay, you want to draw things out on state lines, and you need to get started. At some point, you're going to have to say, okay, it's not the best way to start. For example, like me and Marcus said a few days ago, the way that our masternode system works, the guy with the most money gets the most votes and he has the most power. Somebody said, oh, someone's got 400 masternodes, so that guy's got much more power than me or all of us combined, for example. But it's the best thing that we've got available right now. So what we have to do is start off with something like, even if it's drawn along state lines, we won't do that because we could probably start somewhere a little bit better. But even if it's drawn along state lines, there's nothing wrong with that, providing you start with the understanding that as soon as it's possible and people figure out a better way, you move to the next way to do it. So you start along state lines, but then you realize within a few weeks, Marcus gets through to the rest of the people there and they say, okay, look, this state lines thing, it's not the best idea. Let's move it to something else. As long as you can do that and you can be fluid, I think it's fine. I think it's fine to start with something that's not ideal.
Yes, that was the intention. At least start with something, and then we go further. I mean, we already are opening the states for the countries for going down to state level, and now imagine we open further for going down to province level. This will make it even more fluid then. But let's welcome a new guest here. We have a new. Hi, how are you doing, Chad?
He's muted. Chad, you're muted, mate.
Oh, hey, I'm here.
Hey, good to be here.
How are you doing? Maybe you can introducing yourself, son. Maybe.
Sure. You talking to me, Chad?
Yes.
Awesome. I'm really new to crypto space, hanging up here in Barrie, Ontario, Canada. So it's kind of cool to see all the different countries and people all over jumping in this. It's awesome. So I'm fairly new, but I'm the marketing guy, branding and web, and serving the community to make PIVX look awesome.
Ruru Barbarian, or
I'm the Rue Barbarian.
Yeah, it's cool. Okay, nice to meet you. Nice having you on board.
You guys too.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. We were just having a beginning and talking to the governance and how do we should do governance. Let me just start. Maybe. Okay, sorry. Tell us something about the Dash governance, the positive sides of the Dash governance. What made Dash so special? Because everybody, we have some people that are watching from Fermat, I think. We have some chapters and some other people, not much, but some are hanging around, and maybe a lot later on will view this. So maybe we can summarize the positive things about the Dash governance system regarding now the token price. I mean, a lot of people seem to like what they are doing. Do you have more information for us? Because I'm not a Dash guy, so, and probably some of you know this better than me. I'm not sure.
Should I take this one?
Yeah, yes, please.
Okay. All right. So for me, Dash is based on the model if you've got more money, then you know better, which for me is wrong. But the thing about the Dash model is that it's massively scalable. So regardless whether a Dash is worth $50 or $50 trillion, you're still going to get the same mathematically based outcomes. And I think, for me personally, even though it's not the best way to do it, it's a certain way of doing it. So after the masternodes have voted, there was an answer, like a definitive answer. And I think that was a slight bit better than the way that Bitcoin was doing it, whereby you had an issue. Everybody, I don't know, I'd assume everybody knows. Okay, I'll say for Chad maybe. So the Bitcoin had an issue when they were scaling, that the block size was not large enough. So they needed to decide whether or not they should increase the block size. And Bitcoin took maybe 2 years, maybe, and Marcus will tell you for definite. I think it was about 2 years to decide whether or not the block. They haven't even decided yet. And Dash took a vote on it, and within a month they had an answer, and the answer was to move it up to 2 megabyte blocks or whatever. And that kind of decisiveness is the difference between sending a Dash and receiving a transaction in 30 seconds or 10 minutes or whatever it is, and sending Bitcoin and receiving it in 45 minutes. It's a massive deal. And I think that that's what made Dash's governance a lot better than anybody else's at the time. And that's why Dash is it's been as well as it is for me, in my opinion.
Yeah, Dash is with Monero the only currencies, and Litecoin somehow it's a little bit the only currencies, altcoins that can cope with the rise of Bitcoin. All the others, let's face it, it's a bloodbath. So all the other altcoins just drop by 10, 20, 30% and even more. But Dash really was a winner here. Man. Hey there, how are you doing?
Hello, Eric.
Yeah, he's muted again. But hi, Eric. Great to have you here.
Hi. Can anybody hear me now? So my mute button doesn't work.
Can hear you. Good.
Okay, let's move on here. So we were talking about the Dash governance, and you said, okay, the guys, somebody is making a proposal. They are talking about it in the community somehow. They process this, and then they go for it or not. So immediately something is coming up. The people like in Rome, say thumbs up, thumbs down, and then they go for it. Unlike in Bitcoin, where they just talking and talking and talking. And fighting and fighting.
Okay. But the problem is with Dash is that was the first and last time that they purely used their governance model to find consensus. That was the first and last time that they used it to find an opinion. Because after that, the only reason they used it is to distribute their money. And the best thing that they've done with it was to build a higher block cap for when they need it. After that, they're just using it to spread money around, which is it's not a good use of it, basically. I think we can use it for much better purposes.
Okay, then how's the governance working right now at PIVX? Can you guys elaborate a little bit about that?
Right now, at the moment, the governance hasn't started at PIVX, but to a massive degree. We've done certain things on a social level, but on a protocol level, we haven't really used PIVX to govern anything. So with regards to things like the rebrand, website design, it was more a case of, because people had come from Dash and had been used to trying to get a community to work together and trying to do things where you involve the whole community. We tried to have things like votes. We made sure everybody could see the vote, everybody could see all the options, everybody knew all the information, there was enough time. We tried to do those things, but they were only done purely on a social level. Until we get the budget system fixed, we can't really use the budget system to its full effect to do things like put people into
There
this.
there is no budget system, there's no governance system. So the developers that are developing now at PIVX, they do it just by, okay, trial and error, or they do what they think which is best, and the people on the social side do the same. Everybody is doing what he thinks is the best.
No, I think on the social side, we've got a lot of catching up to do to catch up with the protocol side anyway. So even if we did have the budget system in place right now, we wouldn't use it to the best of our abilities anyway, because on a social level, we haven't got everybody in the community up to speed on how to use that governance protocol anyway. So even if it was fixed tomorrow, what would we use it for? We'd spread around a couple of thousand PIVX so that somebody could design a website or something else, which we don't really need to do. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not so worried about getting on developers back to say to them, you need to fix the protocol. I'm more worried about making sure that we've decided on a method to use the protocol to the best of its abilities, because we know what it can do already.
Okay.
Yeah, so actually what PIVX needs is like a social infrastructure or something like this. So decentralized says we need a forum first, so to discuss the proposals, etc. So also the social media and everything.
Exactly.
And then we can start with the
Yeah, exactly. And because we haven't got those social levels put down, realistically, it doesn't really make much difference if we have the protocol working now or not, because we wouldn't use it properly anyway. If we did it right now, we wouldn't use it properly. So we need to get the social levels put down. We need to have that done in place first, I think anyway. Eric may think differently. I'm not sure.
No, can everybody hear me okay now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's not something we keep secret, but it's not something we publicize either. But there is a bug in the budget system right now, and with that bug in place, what happens is when the PIVX are distributed, they're taken from, I should be careful, I might not have this right. They're taken from a wrong address. And what happens is the amount that's left over disappears. So let's say you need to take 1,000 PIV from an address to pay out a proposal, and there was 4,000 PIV in that address. That means 3,000 PIV is gone, and whoever had that address is obviously upset, right? And so that really undermines the reputation of PIVX that bug is there, right? So what Seven did for the longest time was, out of his own pocket, he paid those 3,000 PIV or whatever it was, and made things right with the person, right? And but each time it happened, you don't know how much PIV is going to be in that wallet. It could be an extreme amount. So that risk was there, right? So, initially it didn't really matter because there wasn't that many people involved. There wasn't that many proposals. PIV was a lot less money. And Seven was just, making sure that it got covered when that bug did happen. So when things started getting a little bit more involved, more people involved, and the price of PIVX started moving up, it was decided to just turn off proposals for now, so that those funds did not need to be distributed and that bug would not be triggered. It's my understanding that out of the 6 developers, there's 2 of them now that have given resolving that bug their top priority. And then we have a working system again, just like Dash, except ours, how would I word this? It's a little bit more rudimentary, right? You don't have the fancy forms on a website to submit the proposal. You don't have things like tools like dashcentral.org to view the proposal and stuff like that. But those are easy to put in place when we, now that we've got a larger community being built, we can make that happen. But we don't want to rebuild it to look just like Dash. We want a completely different governance system. We want there to be proposals for treasury. We want there to be proposals for protocol. We want there to be proposals for manifesto even. That one will probably design to treat a little differently. We want to somehow make sure that masternode owners who sit back and don't get involved and don't vote on Treasury or protocol proposals are absolutely made aware of any kind of change that might be coming up for the manifesto. And we want to somehow find a way that they can remain anonymous and private, but still be made aware that, you know, there's a manifesto change coming up. This is big stuff. Make sure you've done your homework and you're well informed and vote, right? So maybe we'll do something like saying it needs to be a much higher percentage vote before a manifesto change goes through or something. I don't know. That's what we're working on now, is getting ready to gear up and flesh all that out.
Cool. Yes, thanks for explanation. I'm asking a lot of questions because I'm new into PIVX, and I like to get to know each other and get to know everything, and also I want to look a little bit behind the curtains. Why, or let's ask, does Bitcoin has a governance system? Can somebody talk something about that?
No, they have read it.
I would just say no, they don't.
Yeah. So actually, I was listening earlier on. I would disagree a little bit about Dash's governance and how it works. First of all, the issue with increasing the block, it was voted on within 24 hours and agreed on, but the developers actually never implemented Dash. It's not a good example.
Well, it's not, because I was going to ask Eric. Eric, so there's like, you know how Evan has to kind of actually manually do all the stuff that the community decides, like say like he has to trigger this, trigger. There's like 10 to 15 different things he manually has to do, and if he like died, like they'd have nobody to really do it technically, right? Except for maybe like Daniel or something. Like, can we focus on kind of getting those things taken out of those type of hands? Because what's the protocol if you still have somebody doing, you know, 15 different manual processes all the time?
Yeah, that's true about Dash. I don't know how much the same PIVX is. I know there is one seed value or key or something that needs to be triggered for everything to happen, and there's a window of time when that can happen, and 7 hacks usually does that, right? But so the question is that something we can,
like, is that part of the goal, or like the manifesto, to kind of get everything to become a protocol level decision, or is it going to be left to kind of, you know, the powers that be?
I would think the idea is to make it a automated community driven thing that just happens. Like, it should be totally, you know.
So sort of like the DAO. Remember how the DAO had that website where everyone would vote, and then kind of like things would happen on certain days based on the vote?
Yeah, that's the way I see it.
Okay, yeah, me too. I was just curious.
Okay, let me note that. So a lot of people from you think that everything should be based on voluntary votes, and that's it. So the community should.
I mean, like, especially if you guys are going to let staking people that are staking X amount of PIV vote, because at that point, then you're going to have, you know, crap loads of votes. You're not just going to have a handful of 1,000 master nodes deciding what's going on. When you kind of add that into it, you're going to have who knows how many people kind of just adding more votes to the system. Not necessarily like a 10% of the whole community, you know.
So
I think the staking votes are in the very, very, very early stages of being like added. I can't see it happening that easily, because it throws the whole seesaw thing out of. It's not that easy to add. So I can't see staking votes happening, to be honest with you.
Do you mean you see that because of technical reasons or political reasons?
Political reasons, because it throws away the whole point of having a seesaw mechanism, and then you will have people who were early investors who will have too much power and nothing at all to rein them in. And if that's the case, then there's no difference between PIVX and Dash for people who worry about that type of thing.
The same, you're right, but the same kind of issue happens on the flip side. If everybody's allowed to vote, and somebody puts out a suggestion that, hey, let's vote on increasing the inflation rate from, we're going to plateau soon at 4.8% or whatever it is, right? Maybe somebody says, let's double that. And did I just get cut off? Somebody did.
No, Cryptosti got kicked out.
Okay. So, the flip side is that people can just get greedy. It's sort of like in normal politics. I bet you if you pick any country and say, hey, if you were allowed to vote for lower taxes, would you? And could we cut the taxes in half? Everybody would vote yes, cut the taxes in half.
See, but that's where I think that we're wrong.
Consideration of the repercussions.
Well, what happens if they voted wrong? Yeah, I get the first time they would do that. Yeah, I agree that. But wouldn't they learn the second time? They wouldn't. Yeah, it would be a learning experience. But I think in our world, we never really had that ability to kind of have that much power. So like if say everyone had a vote in the world, like, yeah, you might be right. We might lower taxes, but the next fucking week they're gonna be like, crap, we need more taxes because we're all starving.
And then the real problem is that the taxes.
Well, exactly.
That's also essentially what being a community-based coin is that we take everybody's inputs and not just a select few.
Yeah, and I think one thing we could do is, how demo on the forums always goes with the number voting and stuff like that. Like, I feel like if you had number voting along with like some sort of fractional voting, you could have stakers be voters as well, because you could have, a masternode worth like 2 votes or something, and then a staker with X amount of coins is worth 0.6 votes. I think that would work out long term.
I think that's the only way it can work. But then to find out what kind of fraction a staker would have compared to a masternode will take a long time to figure out.
Okay, good point. Yeah, that's where I could see it be really complicated. But I mean, that's just, I think, the way to fairly do a system like that, right?
So
what we saying that
the people are not equal then, huh? So you say that the people that are running maybe masternodes or stakeholders or however you call those whales or active people, they have more voting power than normal people. So you make a difference?
Well, no, because right now, like, say you don't stake, you don't have a masternode, you're just part of the community. Technically, you don't have a say. You just have a voice. So, like, if you had staking as a voting mechanism, you'd have more than just a voice.
Can you explain me staking in general? Because I'm new, I never heard.
It's like masternodes. You can simplify it. It's like a masternode without having a node. It's like just having the coins in your wallet. So you actually have coins in this ecosystem that you're voting for. If you don't have coins, or if you have very little coins, then you obviously shouldn't have as big of a say that someone that has been here, that is, dedicated a lot of their financial need to this.
Yes, staking is basically a reward for running your wallet, which in turn helps secure the network. Yeah.
I would think that somebody with 10,000 PIV staking should have the same voting rights as somebody who has a masternode, which is 10,000 PIV as well.
Okay, fair enough. But at that point, would you prefer, like, let's see. So if you had a 10,000 PIV masternode versus a 10,000 PIV staker, each was worth 1 vote, then what happens when that one person has 9,999 because a masternode can't have 9,999? Are they still worth 1 normal vote?
I don't know how we'd have worked that. I'm talking high level at this point, but all those questions, you're right, that needs to be figured out. But
I don't think the unit vote has to be 10,000. We can probably lower it to something.
Yeah, so maybe lower it to 1,000.
We wouldn't necessarily lower it.
I mean, the idea is just to be more inclusive, to kind of get an economy kickstarted in that method. And I think that would help to have more investors. Like I saw on the Dash forum today, they were having a sort of a conversation about getting more investors involved. And the only way to really do that would be to lower the cost of a masternode, right? So staking does the same concept without doing that lowering of the masternode fees and costs.
I think we've got a major difference between PIVX and Dash in that we're proof of stake and Dash are not. So they've got a set limit. So they're actually an asset masquerading as a currency, whereas we have expansion of our money supply every year. It might be 5%, it might not, or whatever it is. But we've got that built in every year for the rest of eternity, which means that 10,000 PIVX is not going to be worth the same, or it'll probably be worth less than 10,000 PIVX is worth now. Well, Oh, it will go down on the sliding scale, if you get what I mean. That's what happens when you increase the money supply. So I don't think we're going to have the same problems that Dash have.
I think that just adding, allowing stakers to have a vote, I think that's going to remove a whole lot of problems. It won't get us to a perfect solution, though I'm sure we'll have other things to deal with. But just making sure that people who are staking don't just have a voice, they actually have a vote, I think that's going to fix a lot of the politics.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one.
Yeah, but they can't have the same. They can't have the same vote as masternode owners, because then in that case the whales will not be able to be reined in, and then we'll have some people who invested in March last year who will have a massive say, bigger than anybody, for the rest of eternity.
Couldn't you just have like a bonus vote to a masternode though? Like if masternodes are meant for governance and for darksen and for mixing and for things like that, then they are more valuable than a staker in the common sense. Like if you're a staker with count 1,000 and then you don't have a masternode, then you're just a lazy masternode owner.
Yeah,
I think you want to separate the reward system from the voting system. So the masternodes can get a higher reward than stakers because they provide more services. But I don't see why voting has to be specifically tied to masternodes. It should go to everybody.
Yes, exactly. Let me hook in here. We have at Fermat a governance system as well, and we do it by voting. And the governance system is released and it's working. We had today was the first contract, and but we solved it quite a little bit differently. I was asking if Bitcoin has governance, and you all said no. Certainly there are some governance rules or processes that are going, but Bitcoin has no governance. And I would have asked in that way, now, why do we need governance? Why do you think we need governance?
So actually I would answer that. So which wasn't mentioned by Cripsy about the advantage of governance, it is actually not so much the governments, it's just the funds that come in can pay for developers, can pay for certain kind of marketing, like you want to get your coin on an exchange, things like that. Everybody, rather than just having expecting people to donate for those kind of things. And so I think that's what's helped Dash more than the ability to decide various things. It's just that they can hire more people and they can get the funds going where they need to help push things forward.
We should have like a freaking PIVX job directory where what's the blockchain hiring for today?
Okay,
and I think to some degree, because Bitcoin doesn't have that. You have different factions pushing different things, and they really can't come to a consensus on that. If they're actually being funded for it, then you make more sense, because the funding would probably be what you're doing in that case, and so wherever the funding went would also help decide the direction.
I'm with you here. What I don't understand, that's why I'm asking. What I cannot understand is why there is a kind of elite thing. Master node guides are the cowboys or are the gatekeepers, and then you have votes for them. I don't understand it completely, because in Fermat it is like everybody can make a proposal. Anybody. You just post it, and people decide, and everybody can vote. Everybody has one vote he can use with one wallet. So if there is a bigger whale and he likes to get an idea going through, then he has somehow to set up 100 fake wallets, and still it's just 100 votes. But if you vote if you vote against something and have a negative vote and say, no, I don't want this, then your one vote counts 5 times. So it's really hard for a whale to do politics and to get something through that the community and the small little people doesn't want to. Yeah. So everybody can make a proposal. You just need to have a certain amount in your wallet to make a real proposal. So this is just to get away the spammers and all the idiots. Yeah. So you need to have some funds, let's say 1,000 IOP, I think, but everybody can do it. And if you make a proposal, then everybody install centralized on his mobile phone. It's in the end, today not, but in the end it's working completely decentralized. So everybody that has peer-to-peer this voting message, and he can vote. And if he says no, it's 5 negative votes against your proposal. So it's really hard to get the bad stuff through. And the whole community can just participate. So that's the way how we do it in Fermat. What do you think about that?
I actually really like the wallet voting, wallet-based voting, and that's actually really what I wanted as well. Hi all. This is Jay here. I just joined.
Hey, Jay.
Yeah. So obviously we have masternodes which are inherited from Dash. I still don't know if that is the best method. Obviously, 10,000 is a lot of PIV. It is going to be worth a lot more later. I don't know how well that's working for Dash, but I certainly cannot afford a Dash masternode or two now to be able to even vote in their system. So we definitely don't want that. And I've heard about the staking or staking nodes being able to vote, and that's probably what Marcus is talking about. Basically, if you have at least, I don't know, few hundred, I don't know, something like that in your wallet, you should be able to vote. Maybe a wallet-based system like a tab in a wallet or something. Probably something better than a CLI method, that we have right now.
Exactly. The voting system in Fermat is completely tied into the blockchain itself. So you have your wallet, and the wallet is right in the blockchain. That means if you like to vote, then the blockchain knows how much IP you have, and for the time of the voting, the IOPs are blocked in the blockchain. So you cannot just send them to another wallet and vote again or something like this. And as long as you vote, those IOP are passive, they are blocked. And certainly the voting process itself takes one transaction. It's 0.00027 IOP. So it takes a little bit of money too. So by this, we guarantee that people cannot misuse it very much. And people that like to get an idea through, they need to have really good arguments, because normally if people don't understand it, they just ignore it or vote with no. So it's quite difficult to get bad stuff through. You need to have the whole community behind you.
Is there a way, I do like wallet voting, but at the same time, it's not always accessible, and I'm not always with the wallet if I'm traveling or whatever, right? And everyone else as well, if you're at work or whatever, it's not always you have access to your wallet, and if there's a voting going on. Is there a way to somehow make that online, but at the same time somehow link to your hash or your blockchain or your wallet key somehow, and then be able to vote through online like a portal somehow, but actually votes on the blockchain?
Yeah, that's how Dash do that with there's Dash Whale site, dashwhale.org, I think. Or it's an online thing. You just have to register your key, your masternode key, and then you can log in and vote.
The only problem I've got with allowing everybody to vote, I think that it's becoming quite clear that we have to let stakers vote. I think it probably is the best way to move forward. But the problem is with early adopters having so much power, and that's just not cool, because then it just stops new adopters from coming in. Like, for example, there's no point in anybody even trying to buy a Dash masternode now because it costs way too much. So even if you look at Dash and you think, oh, I've got something that I can contribute, but I know I can't afford a masternode anyway, so I can't ever get a say in what that currency does. There's no point in you moving into it. And I think if you add that to PIVX, we're going to have the same problems that Dash has if we allow early adopters to have so much power.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with you there.
I mean, I think that is one thing I worry about. I would like to see. I mean, basically, all the PIVX are, owned at the moment right? So there's still some inflation going on, but the community's not that big, so we need to encourage, spread it around, to distribute it better, so that distributing it can help increase the value for everybody. Just holding it, I think people hold it because they think the value will go up, but it may go up more if you distribute it. And like I said, if we don't have good distribution, at some point people say, that's like, I'm only going to get such a small percentage of everything now. Why would I join in? And I think it's exacerbated in the case of Dash. But in a way, like, all coins have that problem. And I think it's less so in Bitcoin. People see it more, it has much broader community. So you don't feel like if you're buying Bitcoin for the first time, you're just getting a small amount compared to everyone else, because it really doesn't seem to have those kind of whale problems that Dash has and certain other cryptos have.
Do we have anybody that's saying stakers should not vote? I haven't heard that. I've heard a lot of people say, yes, stakers should be able to vote. So I'm wondering if maybe the whales out there are in agreement with the change anyway, so maybe it's a moot point.
Sometimes.
I think everyone agrees on that, but I think the distribution issue that Scripsy brought up is still something we need to think about. I mean, basically, if the masternodes are still, let's say the masternodes are getting 15% return and stakers are getting 5%, that will kind of lead to the same kind of problems that Dash has. It won't be as bad. So ultimately, we'd want to get the staking rewards close to what the masternode rewards are to avoid the kind of centralization problem.
Minus the cost of running a masternode, which is kind of,
right.
I thought, how it was set up now. Isn't that the whole idea?
Correct. That's very close.
As technology changes,
it is set up, yeah, to equalize, but basically, for some reason, it's not at the equilibrium point. The masternode rewards are quite a bit higher still than staking.
So only the elite is allowed to vote, huh?
How only the elite? Define elite. Anyone can own a masternode, right? So.
Yeah, so the normal people that just use the payment system, they cannot vote and do anything about that. It's
currently right now.
Their heads.
Yeah, currently right now in PIVX, you can vote if you have a masternode. I mean, we already discussed the proposal system's turned off right now, so there is no voting happening. But if that was turned back on, only masternode owners can vote. But I'm hearing a general consensus that we need to change things such that people who just stake can also vote. I haven't heard anything other than that. So.
Yeah, that's correct, because obviously, unless everyone agrees that current Dash system is great and it's working great for them, definitely not for newbies or newcomers into Dash. But and we obviously have the exact same system right now. So until we can change that to something where we can let, obviously we'll always have whales in any voting system currently in our society. There are always people with more power, right? So I think it needs to be a good balance. What Marcus said about Fermat allowing everyone to vote, I think that will work as well. Yeah, but and at the same time, obviously, people who go against it will vote no. That may not. That'll still give a lot of power to people who go against it. So even if somebody tries to create 100 wallets and try to vote, that'll actually negate that.
Yes, exactly. That's the point.
Yeah. It's very hard. I think we still want people who's got skin in the game to be able to vote, and obviously Marcus system does that as well. But yeah, and that's why we want masternode and stakers to vote, or if that's too difficult, maybe allow all wallets to vote if they have a certain amount of coins, as what Marcus said. And then we, I don't know, what can we use the masternode for if we're not using it for voting? We definitely don't want to take advantage of the 10% of the block reward. for most of the funding if we can, instead of donations or please donate here and there and so on. So we definitely need to make a use of that very soon. Yeah, and obviously that's why we're here discussing it.
What do you need the masternodes for exactly? What is the purpose of the masternodes?
One thing is coin mixing for the privacy, and another is
that makes sense. And the other one, sorry, I was interrupting you. And the second? Instant
transactions.
Okay, so that's the thing behind the I behind PIVX. Instant.
Yeah.
Yep.
Once we have Zerocoin protocol merged, or I don't know when that'll happen, but once that happens, obviously the coin mixing part, would that still be doing that with masternodes only?
It's not obvious yet whether we'll use the masternode for that or not.
Okay.
Well, either way, that'd be better anyways. Job from masternodes, because then you would be able to justify giving less return, you know, and then even out the voting a little more.
Can you say that again? You cut off in the middle or the start?
Oh, sorry. I was going to say if you took away privacy job for the masternodes, then that would take away some of the bandwidth needed too, and like some of the cost for the server, right? So you would be able to kind of justify a little bit, like not giving masternodes triple the reward as a staker, for example.
Yeah, I think in reality, when the network is fully going, the bandwidth will be dealing with the instant transactions. That's where the bandwidth will come in.
Not mixing doesn't cost much bandwidth.
Yeah, I don't think the mixing. I mean, the reason mixing is slow is not because it's not because of the bandwidth issue. I mean, yeah, the mixing is
lack of liquidity right now. There's just not.
Yeah, it's not a bandwidth.
Also, one thing for sure, masternode hardware requirement or resource requirement is not going to drop at all. It's actually going to increase significantly, most likely when we go to the Zerocoin protocol. So even though it's not doing the coin mixing per se as per Dash, the actual requirement will actually increase in memory and in most likely in space because of the increase in blockchain size.
Marcus, one thing about voting that we've struggled with in Dash, and maybe Jay has already figured this out, maybe I'm forgetting, but sometimes the vote you want to vote on is not a yes or a no. It's, are we going to do this, whatever it is, in September or October or November? It's a multi-choice question. So do you have ways on how to handle that in an automated system?
Yeah, can you please explain it again? I didn't get really the question.
Okay, so when you do a vote, so there's a proposal and you're asking people to vote on it, is it always phrased in terms of requiring a yes or a no answer? Or can it be more complicated? Because sometimes you have a very complicated proposal and people want to say yes, but they're going to say no because they don't like one part of it. It would be nice to somehow identify what that part is so that the proposal writer can come back with a revision the next month where that issue is going to address. I guess that could be taken care of in comments and things, but sometimes it's a quantitative thing. It's like, doing something quickly or doing it slowly or doing it fast, or it's not always a yes or a no question to get a proposal moving forward.
Now, to hand in the proposal, you need to meet certain standards, certainly. You have to elaborate and explain and all the things, and then you set up also a kind of time frame. So when should the contract start? And this must be ahead in, let's say, 1 or 2 months. So there is enough time to discuss about this. When you submit this contract, we have the philosophy mobile first and everything decentral peer-to-peer. So there is no central forum or any system that could fail. Yeah. While inventing this, we still rely on a central instance, but the developers are trying now to get this completely decentralized. But in the beginning, it's a kind of stripped out forum. But when you submit a contract, then all the people that are interested. And normally these are just the people that run the masternodes, that are those people that do bring value into the network. Normal people just normally don't do it. So we don't expect any big problems here to get everybody being able to vote. But there will be a lot of time ahead to discuss this. You can click on the contract and you can start a comment, and you can start like in a forum, a thread and discussion and elaborate further. And then you can still make modifications to the contracts, and then you can ask again for new votes, or you can change your vote from no to yes at any time. Yes, so it's quite fluid, and yeah.
Would it help if we had like a not just a yes or no vote, but like a number-based vote, like a 1 through 10 vote? Like I think that I agree with this up to a 6, or I agree with this up to a 10, or I don't agree with this, so I'm going to put a 0.
That's interesting. There you could maybe, for instance, bring stakeholders in, those that have a lot of stake, can have maybe more weight or not, or something like this. Or people say, okay, I tend to agree, but I'm still unsure. Let's give it a 6 from 10 or 7. Yes, this is really interesting, but we haven't planned that. I mean, we tied it, we put it integrated into the blockchain, which is kind of Bitcoin. Fork, a modified Bitcoin system. So maybe the developers know it's quite restricted in your possibilities, or you have to put something on top. Yeah? So this is not really easy. But at this time, it's just yes or no. And I don't think that in a year, this year, we won't change this. But to my opinion, this is a good way. Why not? That's good.
I can think of a good example. Like if you've got 5 things that you need development to do, and you want to poll the community to find out which is the higher priority. So maybe there's 5 things that developers could work on, and you ask people to vote. You say, okay, vote number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for priority.
Yeah, your wallet has a certain vote weight. Yeah, so you're always able to split your votes on different contracts. And, this is quite nice. I mean, to say no is always negative and always 5 times more than to say yes. Just to eliminate the risk of abuse from some certain politician, let's say masternodes gather and they want to make politics and say we invent now the unlimited block number, and like Bitcoin Unlimited or something. But the community thinks, why? We don't need it. It works well. So the community is always able to outnumber and outpower the masternode people or those that are developers. But generally, the community is really not doing much. And if there are some people that are really interested, they have maybe 100 IOP in their wallet, they can split their votes and can say, okay, this I have no knowledge about, so I don't vote at all. I don't care. This topic I like, I put all my votes on it. And then they read further and think, oh, the 8 contracts, this is one I like most. So they split their votes and give 70% of the weight to the other contract. And yeah, so you see which contracts they will be being reordered, and so you see which is the most needed from the community. Yeah, but I don't know how. Honestly, I haven't looked at the app yet since a week, and it was to be released today, but postponed to tomorrow or the next 2 days. So I don't know if this is implemented. What I just can say for sure is yes or no, and you can split your votes. This is what we integrated for sure up today.
Very cool. You touched on one issue that we saw in Dash that we want to avoid, and that is that sometimes there's something that's being voted on, and the masternode owners, you know, a masternode owner should have the right to not vote if they don't want to. They can be like totally ignorant of what's going on and just like have their money invested and make some interest. I don't agree with that, but they should have the right to do that if they wish. But at the same time, if you have too many masternode owners and you have a system where only masternode owners can vote, if you have too many masternode owners that don't care and don't get involved with the issues that are being voted on, things can go the wrong direction really fast. That's what we saw in Dash. And it would be really nice if there was a way to somehow reach out to masternode owners and say, this is a special issue. You really need to educate yourself, inform yourself of what the issues are, and make an informed decision. But you can't really do that without knowing who the masternode owners are, and there goes privacy. It's gone. Have you run into that problem at all? Did you figure out how to solve it?
I mean, you could solve it quite easily with, you maybe know the time lock token system. You can time lock tokens, so they are being released later on. So why not lock their wallets, their voting wallets? But certainly not their private ones. But the masternode owner could, for example, if he has a voting wallet, then you can just lock it. So he cannot do anything if he's not voting.
Interesting. So you're telling, like, basically you can have a wallet, like maybe even a separate wallet, just a separate app for voting, you know, for the governance side of things. I just call it like governance. And then if you send money to that and you cast a vote, that wallet locks your funds for, like, let's call it a day or something, right? And then 24 hours later, it unlocks them when the vote is finished.
Exactly. This is what we are doing at Fermat. So the normal people, imagine they download the voting app. Most Fermat users won't do it. We know it. But still, we want them to give them the opportunity to take part. And not just the chapters or the node owners. So we give everybody the opportunity or the possibility at least to raise their voice. So those people that profit from our system, use the system, like it, they just can download the IOP voting app. Then they have to fund it. They need to put some IOP tokens into this wallet. This is good for our system because ordinary people just for doing votes, they will buy some tokens possibly. Then they see, oh, the more tokens I have, the more I can participate in voting. So they start buying more and they start splitting votes and they start hopefully to engage. And if things are really not nice or not helpful for them, they will make a strict no vote. And imagine you have 100,000 users and just 10,000 of them say no, then you have suddenly 50,000 votes against you. Yeah? And there's one masternode owner who tries to make something stupid. So this is quite fun game. Yeah? This is brings maybe the community more, getting more active. Yeah. But they don't need to. Only those people that really take part. And if you buy those tokens and take part in the voting, then suddenly you will immediately see that the IOP tokens you use for voting are locked. You cannot access them anymore as long as the voting is ongoing. Certainly can shuffle around. And the contract is running. That means if you vote for a contract that is going over 1 or 2 years, because there is a huge change on protocol level, and you need a lot of resources for that, and a lot of developers and money and this and that, and you say, yes, I want this eagerly, we need it, then your voting power locks your tokens in your wallet, and you have to wait until this job is finished.
Can I just say something quickly? With regards to like voter apathy, I've had a Dash masternode for a long time and I voted maybe a handful of times. I think the problem with these type of systems is that a lot of the time people just don't care enough to vote. Or if they do care, they might not have all the facts.
Yes, exactly. You're right. Most people don't care. So nobody can force anybody. But imagine bigger your community is, and if there is something coming up in the news, we are discussing now how big should the block be? How do you say it? If it's now 2 megabyte or 1 megabyte. So suddenly, people from the community, even though that they are not masternode owners. Masternode owners just want to make money, probably. So the community people start arguing in the forums, in the discussions, they fight each other. Yeah, they figure it out and they will fight for the arguments. And hopefully they, with only their one IOP will vote. And if you get them together, they hopefully outnumber the node owners. Yeah? And then suddenly you have the things going on that that is maybe not in the interest of a whale or a master node owner, but it's in the interest of the community.
See, that's funny that because back in Dash, like I'm not going to say a lot, but like when that would happen, you could see like the core team and like the people that really had an incentivized, you know, like reason to kind of like not let you have a voice in this community would step up, and there'd be like this fucking 5 or 6 people that would just kind of come at you like you don't know what you're talking about, you're trolling, and or go away and fork the coin. Literally, they would tell you that like on the daily. So it's nice to have a community here that's like focusing on the opposite of that stuff.
Yes.
I think what Decentral said is quite true. And I think that's the problem with having too much power in too few hands. That essentially they can tell the masses to go away and eat bread. They can tell you to just go away. And that's what they've done. That's how PIVX started in the first place.
So if we invent something like a governance system, then it should make sure that there is not too much power in the hand of few.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I write it down. That's just asking. I write this down. This is a kind of rule we need for the governance system.
I think, like, for me personally, I'm more focused on, like, we've been speaking about things that we can implement in the future. And I'm more focused on using the technology that we've already got and using it to the best of our abilities. Because I think we can always improve the technology, but if you're not using what you've got to the best of your abilities, then there's no point in us theorizing how we can improve upon what we've got. So things like voting from 1 to 10, yes, of course, we should try to work towards something like that. But at the moment, we're still not using voting on binary, in a binary form. We're not using that properly anyway. So I think those are the things that we need to utilize, forming some sort of structure as well, so that there are people in place that can handle private issues on behalf of the blockchain and things like that.
So what do you guys think that like right now I'm new here obviously, so has anything been voted on even in a manual format in the last month or so? Like what's kind of going on as far as how is it?
The rebranding was all voted on. That was all very democratic. We voted on the name first, the logo second, and the color third. And I didn't win on any of the votes, but yeah, we voted on that, and that worked pretty well.
But we used Slack voting. We also allowed Twitter people to vote using retweets as a single vote. We've posted on BCT forums about the vote so that they can either retweet the tweet or join Slack and vote, and so on. So that's what we've tried so far. Or while we have the masternode voting sort of broken in a way, but yeah, after hearing everything about what Marcus said and how we vote, as a society for a lot of things, like governments and so on, nearly every single individual, no matter what power, usually has a single vote. Obviously, with power, you can sort of group a certain amount of people or whatever to be able to have a bigger vote for him or her. But it is actually good to have a single vote or be able to do that, so that not this person has 10 times or 100 times more voting power than the other person and so on. I do prefer that system to maybe the current masternode, even though I'm a masternode owner and so on. I wouldn't mind it being more accessible, so that if my friend just decides to buy, just say 1,000 PIV, he's able to at least cast a vote as much as I do, and so on. Obviously, they will have to have a skin in the game, but Yeah, as long as that is set. And as Marcus said, somebody could create or attempt to create 100 wallets, but if you need 100 PIV to be able to vote, that 100 PIV will be locked. So if you create 1,000, it's 100,000 PIV, which will be locked until that vote goes through. Which means it's not so good either for him to do that.
It is even locked. No, it's not locked until it goes through. It is locked for the whole contract. Even further.
Okay. All right. So on a purely democratic level, where you say one vote, one person gets one vote, everything is kind of equal. Like, I agree philosophically that is probably correct. The only problem comes when, if we vote on something, say like, let's say we had a vote and it was on a scale. We say, okay, which security protocol should PIVX use? Okay, we can use zero coin or ring signatures. We can use whatever. If I've got the same vote as, for example, Spock or one of the other devs, that realistically makes no sense, because my knowledge compared to his knowledge are two totally different things. So I might decide, purely based on 3 or 4 YouTube videos that I've seen, that we should have such and such, and it may be awful for our system. Whereas somebody expert may decide we should have something else, and it would be much better for us. So although on a moral end, it's probably better for everybody to try and be as equal as we can be, on another end, it's probably better that we assign or try to find merit and try to give people kind of like the credit they deserve and help them to make decisions on our behalf. I would rather not vote and give my vote to somebody who actually knows the answer, or who actually knows more than me.
I don't want anybody to vote on my behalf. Sorry, no. But what I can do, what we can enforce is that the topics which are coming on the table. So if there is some idiot guy, a random guy from and posting some contract, he needs to have a lot of tokens just to get this contract on the table. But the whole people that have liked this contract can vote, or they can downvote it. So not every stupid idea gets on the table in our system. To put something on the table, you need to be a kind of stakeholder, or you need to be a developer influencer and get a chapter behind your back. So you need to put some effort into being able to put something through the contributor app. If you get it through the contribution app, then the people can use their normal voting system and participate. And then even anonymous people can vote. And it's not one people, one vote. It's one wallet, one vote. It's different.
Well, I'm curious. So why can't you just separate the voting key from like we were talking about the other day? Why can't you separate voting from the financial side of things, and then you don't really have that problem? Because then you give everyone that has a wallet, they have private keys, but they also have like a voting key, for example.
Yeah, why not? I like it.
Because I guess if there was no financial incentive, then somebody could just spam it, couldn't they? Couldn't they just make 1 million wallets? Create a script that just makes loads of wallets.
Financial incentive isn't the only thing that matters, I guess. Like for me, like take me, like this is actually a great example. I've been in Bitcoin since 2011. I have not saved most of my Bitcoins, and that's not because I didn't believe in it or whatever. It's because I used it what I was told it was going to be. I was using it as a transactional system. I buy things with my Bitcoins. I gamble with them. I use them. Like, I'm probably a good large chunk of these transactions that go on, especially in Dash, for example. I used to only use Dash just to gamble because it was fast. I got my votes in quick. I got my transaction in quick, and so on. So there could be people that are easily just as involved in PIVX that don't hold it for a financial standpoint, but let's say they're involved, like Marcus is, for example, right now. He probably doesn't hold a whole bunch of PIV, but he's here because he likes the idea of what we're trying to build, which would be more of a, in my opinion, I would like to call it a decentralized economic model or something like that,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point.
And I mean, and all I'm saying is like that person probably should have some sort of say in the system, even if they don't have thousands and thousands of dollars to drop on like a vote or whatever, because they have, I mean, like they might have some great opinions on some things, or maybe they maybe they just so happen not to be in a position in life to really hold a lot of coins, but they're very versed in what's going on, or maybe their money's tied up and they can't move it.
Or they are even experts in the field. Let's say you have a contract which goes about governance, changing the governance model on the protocol on the governance level. So and there is some random guy is coming around from university. Maybe he's studying this and says, "Hey guys, I can tell you from experience. I'm a PhD, whatever. Yeah, I like your PIVX. I use it sometimes, but I'm not in this. But this contract, if that goes through, it will be bad. It will hurt you." And then he can just say, then he participates and says, "No, maybe it's the first and the only one in this time." Or he just talks in the forum, in the discussion, and brings his points to the table. And suddenly other people that have not much to do with the whole development thingy, they just participate and start voting too, and then suddenly dynamics start kicking in, and at least the proposal has to change a little bit, and to make adoption. So I think that this is not really bad to say anybody, every wallet can vote if they want to, but normally we don't expect the masses to vote, certainly not, because we know that the developers will vote. We know that, and if they vote, then we can believe it's good. But if a thing goes really controversial, then you get the community.
Okay, so if we allow everybody to vote, and everybody to vote equally, how are we going to deal with the problem of early adopters who are now whales having much more power than everybody else? Because in Dash, they killed off anything that they didn't really like. So anybody who came in and wasn't saying something that certain baby giraffes wanted, they were killing off those proposals. How would we deal with something like that?
This is the 1 million question.
No, I think it's an easy question. I think it comes down to everyone just standing up for what they believe in, and having that conversation where you all say, "Hey, Baby Giraffe's being kind of an asshole, can we do something about this?" But I think that was part of the problem that I personally had with that community, is that anytime you would bring something like that up, it would just be like, "Hey, shut up, we don't want to talk about that." And it's like, wait, we need to have this conversation because this is the time to fix these problems, not 5 years from now.
Because another thing to note really is that in Dash, that giraffe, he didn't have a massive holding. He just had the ear. He was just an influencer. And what you'll find is a lot of the time when people are missing facts, they'll decide, they'll pick a team and they'll roll with that team. And that's basically what happened in the whole Dash situation. People they didn't really quite understand what was at stake. There was no official forum for debate. So people kind of just decided, okay, we're just going to go with this guy because apparently he's closer to the more official guy. So it's the correct way to do things.
I think I do understand what Carl's talking about here, but at the same time, and what we are sort of afraid of, when we allow everyone to have equal votes, when there's an important decision that needs to be made, maybe some people are much more educated in that decision. We're hoping that we do make the right decision towards it, but it's a vote, right? So we just don't know. We don't know what everyone wants. We just need to. There is another side of this. Everyone hasn't allowed to vote. Is that as before, even masternode owners half the time don't care about voting, right? Or don't care about a certain proposal. Half the time, half the masternode owners don't even vote, or more than half, right? And they have a hell of a lot of skin in the game. So when we allow everyone to vote, don't expect everyone to vote. I expect maybe 1% of the community probably votes, right? Potentially for a certain thing. And if just say one of the devs like Spock proposes a certain implementation of something great, and obviously educates us why it'll be great and so on, and obviously quite a few of our in a community, there'll be obviously people who are more respected, who has more recognition or respect and so on, right? So if they start agreeing, even not at a vote level, but just on comments like what you see in Dash Central and so on, just comments saying, yeah, that's a great idea, and so on. People get influenced that, oh, it sounds like the guys who's in the know thinks it's a great idea. And obviously there needs to be a lot of info so that even Joe Blog gets to read up on what this idea is about, and then should be able to maybe decide if it is a good idea or not. So then you'll get really nice votes, or good enough educated votes. Yeah, I still don't expect, you know, my mum to suddenly start voting or anything, you know, even if she has something. So it's a matter of
She doesn't need to. She's just a user. Why should she vote?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think I do understand the worry of the system that Marcus is proposing in a way, but at the same time, I see how it will actually really work well and allow us to have much bigger number of votes. And at the same time, they will still be educated votes. People won't just vote because they want to ruin a vote.
Well, think about how you guys most .com's front page, right? At least, even if you don't use it, because that's what it's going to look like. Like a budget system should look like Steemit's platform. You know, it should have upvotes, downvotes, and the money associated with it. But the money shouldn't be relative to the upvotes and downvotes. It should be, instead of showing how much money they made, it should be how much money they've requested. And if it looked like that and everyone could kind of sift through a system like that, then we'd have a pretty robust, you know, like user-oriented voting platform, I would say.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds good as well.
Yeah.
Okay, what about a system whereby, just thinking out loud, but everybody can vote, but the initial vote is just consensus building. So you're just finding out what the actual community feels, because the community could consist of people who don't hold hardly any PIVX. So even if you do it on a wallet by wallet basis or however you want to do it, and then before it goes before the master nodes, at that point there's some sort of signal saying, okay, the community gave it the green light or they gave it the red light. And then the master node owners can use that and decide whether they want
to. I mean, what's a master node owner if not a freaking representative in the government, you know?
Yeah. And then you can least you can see in high definition that the master node owners are doing what is in their best interest or what they feel is in their best interest against the community.
Yeah, exactly. At least you could differentiate, like the community voted yes, the master nodes voted no, and have that sort of like differentiate. And then you could pinpoint the problem. Like say the master nodes knew better, you know, like they were all programmers and they all hosted, you know, master nodes for a long time. So they understand the technology behind it more than, you know, Fred from down the street who just got handed a free PIVX card or something like that, right? And he just wants to vote. He said he got told he could vote, so he came to vote. And he doesn't know nothing, but at the same time, he wants to participate. And we need to let people like that participate. Otherwise, we'll never hit that massive scale of adoption.
You know, the thing why we want to open it on the community level, exactly what you say is right. Yeah, the master node people, those are those that probably know the system better and all this stuff. But if you really would like to use the swarm intelligence, then you need the community to bring up proposals themselves and to discuss them. And if they upvoted, then the master nodes cannot ignore it up to a certain point. And they have to deal with this issue. And that means if there is something stupid going on, the master node owners, they can say no, and one no is 5 votes. So it's really, if more than 20% of the people say no, it is unlikely to go through. But on the same level, the community always can raise their demands, and this is completely lacking, to my opinion, in Dash because they don't let it through. So the community probably doesn't know really which protocol is the best, but the community can tell the master node owners, well, this system sucks, it's not fast enough, we need bigger blocks. Or no, sorry, the system is not fast enough, solve it. And then the master node owners can try and solve the problem, how to make it better. And then some will say bigger blocks, other will say shorter time, you know what I mean. So this is maybe a fluid system.
Well, yeah, that plus if you got to, from a design standpoint, like if you're designing anything, you're going to have to design it the best way you can design it, regardless if it's capable of being built right now, right? And then keep those designs in your back pocket for when, you know, technology it catches up to your design. With that being said, like, you'd have to design it for the future that you want to live in, not the future that we live in today. So all these things where you kind of say, well, you know, people are kind of stupid. Well, in the future, they won't be so stupid because they would have gone through these systems and these learning curves and, you know, picked up on a couple of these things, and they'll all know what SHA is and so on and so forth. But right now, you are totally right. The master nodes would totally steer us better, faster. And but like, are you building the system for today, or are you building the system for, you know, down the road?
This is maybe the challenge. When I'm talking to you, I have two parties, to my opinion. I listen. First, I have to say that all of you is really amazing. Also, the discussion, everybody can say whatever he thinks, and these are all valid points. But I feel I have two parties here. The first is the guys that say, let's look what we have today and first do the best out of it, and then look further how we can go into the future. And then we have another party that says, okay, we are in the early stage of PIVX. We are already doing such many different tasks we have to cope with. Why don't we try to invent the system of tomorrow? When not now, in the future, we won't do it maybe anymore. We have to cope with iterations. But today we can make it completely different. So we have those two parties. What do you think what is your opinion? To which party do you belong, or what do you favor? Everybody, what is your opinion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I favor working with what we've got right now. I favor making sure that we're using the technology that we've got right now to the best of our ability. So if we've got a budget system, even if we're not using it to discover consensus, even if we're just using it to spread money around, we need to make sure that when people are putting proposals forward, they are being discussed. And if they're not being discussed, then the master node owners know that they're not being discussed. And when they are being discussed, it's being documented correctly and it's being archived correctly. So when you look at a proposal, you don't have to Google search. It should all be there. You can click on it. Okay, this is here. Here's the conversation. You can read through it. There'll be videos. You can look at the videos. You can watch the Google Hangouts where people are putting their proposal forward and then other people are shooting their proposals down, and you can see it all and do it all in a ordered manner, and then you can make the decision. Because if we don't have that, then what we've got is it's not making best use of the current technology. After we've mastered this technology, then we can start thinking about progressing it and moving it on. Or we can even think about progressing it and moving it on now, but we need to master what we've got. And I don't think we're doing that at the moment.
Well, yeah, but I guess I'm sort of on the fence here, because obviously our system is exactly Dash's system at the moment, and we know where that leads and where we are right now. Obviously, we are. So it's a matter of how long. I'm no dev, so I have no idea how long it'll take to implement any of our ideas, right? Someone might say, oh, it'll only take a week. Someone might say it could be months or years. I don't know. So it really depends on if a certain idea that we had amongst ourselves here, it could be implemented within 2 weeks, let's say, or at the same time as the zero coin protocol merge and so on. You know, and then weeks from now or a couple of months from now and so on, then maybe it is great to have it all at the same time. So it's mastering the masternode voting system. Well, we've had that until it sort of became broken, but and it did work for while PIV was while DNet was really cheap. It actually worked quite well. We even got we even got the block reward size reduction voting to go past and so on. And devs actually honored that and made the change, even though it wasn't the original design and so on. So it did work initially.
Go on, sorry, I'll just quickly say, the only thing I would say with that is, if we do decide to make a change, or we do feel that there is a change that needs to be made, even if it can be implemented in 5 minutes, like we still, as a community, need to speak about it, discuss it, and decide whether or not it's the right thing to do. So regardless of how quick it can be implemented, it's going to take months for us to discover whether or not we should do it. Because doing things just because you can do it is not always the best idea.
Well, it might not take months, really. We obviously give it a time, just say a week or two, give everyone the community. We don't really have a big community anyway, really, right now. Only less than 200 people in Slack. Probably less than that on BCT forums, I don't know. That, the people who we can call the community of PIVX right now. We don't have that many at all. So it shouldn't take that long. You saw our votes before, even with logo change and whatever. No, we've literally had 50 votes or less or something like that. And so on.
So, just thinking forward, like, yeah, obviously, our smaller community is now, we're quite nimble. So we probably could get a message out to everybody within a week or so. But that won't always be the case. So, for example, if we get to the size of Dash, there's no way you can get the message out within a week or so.
Correct. Obviously, that's why while we're nimble right now, we can. I'm not saying we're going towards any system right now, right? We haven't made any decision. I'm still on the fence here, and I don't know what's the best method yet. Obviously, I really like Marcus's method as well. It does make a lot of sense that a Joe Blog who has 100 PIV can make a proposal. Well, in theory, I think you can right now in our system as well. It costs, I think, 50 PIV right now to create a masternode proposal. Marcus, if you didn't know that, so in theory, you can't spam proposals unless you're going to constantly spend some PIV doing that. Obviously, once he creates the proposal, though, that Joe Blog creates a proposal with 50 PIV, it's only up to the masternode voters to be able to vote. So even though he created the proposal, he can't even put a vote in, basically. Right? Which this system is flawed in that way. Okay, now he's letting the whales vote, basically. And hopefully it passes. So there is both sides.
So imagine now we start to think about the system of the future, and I'm not talking about on the technical level, yeah, because here I'm with Cryptosy completely. Yeah, let's use today what we have and finish those tasks. Get the system on track, the bounty or finance system on track. But if we start building how the society should work, the governance should work, the community should be able to communicate and put all the efforts into it and streamline all the best ideas for yeah, okay, so the whole thing, if we design it today with such a small community you have, and so bright people, this is the moment where we can do it. And if we all agree, the whole community agrees on this plan, like a blue plan, I don't know the English word for it, but it's like kind of master plan, blueprint. If we all agree on this, then we could finish and fix the things we have today and slowly start developing on the new system. And then we can do a kind of hype, not a hype, but yeah, the people anticipate what is coming in the future. And the people see what we are bringing on the table, and they can look if we are able to do it. And I tell you, it's possible, because until 2 years ago, technically, it was not possible. But now, after everybody's using the blockchain, we see that there are a lot more things possible. We are even beyond blockchain already at Fermat. We know that we can combine a profile server and proximity, location-based server, all this stuff we can integrate together with the blockchain. There is really cool stuff coming. And what we are doing today is trying to optimize Dash. But maybe we can go a step further for the future. What do you think about that?
Sometimes I wonder, like, when we're considering ourselves to be. So sometimes some of us consider ourselves to be some sort of free nation state, like we're just a bunch of people who are adhering to our own rules in our own little society. But in essence, really, we're more of a corporation. And that's how kind of I see us. We're more of a corporation. So the things that we do in PIVX, they don't really influence the things that we do in our wider life. So based on that premise, I would say the best way for us to use governance at the moment would be to have a federated system where you have one team, you have one team in charge of web design, you have one team in charge of social media, you have one team in charge of building partnerships, one team in charge of fiat gateways, one team in charge of language translations, one team in charge of China, one team in charge of tall people. You just federate it down and down and down so that everything has its own place, its own people in charge of it, and its own smaller organizations within the bigger organization. I think that's, for me, that's the starting point of where our governance should be moving towards. That's the starting point.
Yeah, this multi-group, obviously we have multiple groups. Yeah, obviously we have the devs, we do have the sort of the social team, and so on, and this governance and so on. So, and really it fits into a corporate model, it fits into a swarm model, you know. It's basically multiple groups doing multiple things, obviously for the greater good, or greater goal, of where we want to be. And we cannot, in a way, there really is no head, or that's what we don't want, right? We don't want a single head being able to control these teams, and so on. We're all working together. It's not like we're all getting paid for it. Nobody's paying us for it. We all want to do it because we all want to do it. And so, that is fine. In a way, a corporate model, you know, which means that somebody will always have more power over somebody else, and that happens. Even in a community level, that will always happen. Somebody will have, you know, even in a forum, somebody will have more posts, more rep because of it, you know, different status and so on, and he'll get more rep with his opinions. I think people are. We should allow people, definitely allow our community to definitely voice anything, and obviously we should be heard. We should hear that, and so on. Right now we are very small, that we are making a lot of decisions ourselves. Like myself, I'm just a part of the community of PIVX, you know. Fine, so some of you guys give me roles or give me certain titles and so on, but at the end, I'm just somebody will eventually could replace me at any time, and I'll be fine with that as long as they're doing just as good job or better job than me. You know, to make me go to Vegas. So yeah,
I think
go on.
Yeah, do you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see things made official. I'd like to see, because we know how we're doing it, but I'd like to be people from the outside to know how we're doing it. So, for example, if I was made the head of food and beverages, I would like to be able to put that forward to whatever voting mechanism we have. If it's pure masternode or if it's masternode plus stakers, I'd like to be able to say, okay, I'd like to be the head of food and beverages. Put that forward, let it go to a vote, let everybody vote to say, okay, Carl, yep, obviously you make a mean sandwich, you need to be the head of food and beverages. Then I can link to that vote, the hash of that vote or whatever it is, put that on my business card, put it on my LinkedIn profile, put it anywhere I want to put it, that is now my official title. So then if anybody from the outside wants to then come in or to deal with our structure, they've then got a point of reference. Okay, I've gone to PIVX, I want to find out where to get the sandwiches from. You go on the website, you look, you use your search tool or whatever, you find me, and you have that level of structure. And I think at the moment we don't quite have that. That's what I would like us to have next.
Do we need it? Do we need that?
I think we do. I think we do, especially for things like small things, website development. Or that's not quite a big thing. Even getting listed on other exchanges, integrating with dark web markets, doing press releases, doing interviews. Like if someone right now, if they said they wanted to interview someone within PIVX, oh, I want to interview one of the main people within PIVX, they'd come into the Slack and ask, and depending on who they ask will depend on what answer they got. I might say, okay, yeah, you should speak to Jackie. Somebody else might say, oh yeah, you should speak to CryptoSI. Somebody else might say, you should speak to Marcus. There's no real structure. We're kind of just like a herd at the moment, which is fine for where we started, but for perfecting things, I think we need a little bit more organization.
I do agree with you there. Well, we are gonna obviously have a website with a team of people, so on. But yeah, it's some of the little things such as Slack. Okay, Slack. Right now, Slack admins. Okay, who are the Slack admins? Who are the Slack owners? So it's just A7, Eric. I'm actually an admin or an owner now, I believe, and so on. So obviously nobody knows that. There are people who's joining Slack and going, who are the devs? We don't actually have a list of devs anywhere right now, I think. Written down, not on the BCTOP, not on the website, not anywhere. Obviously we'll have a new website soon and there will be some lists and so on. So yes, there will always be that type of a hierarchy, and that needs to be shown, that I am the admin of Slack and so on. That somebody should be able to at least be able to find that out without,
I don't quite agree with you guys on this. I mean, I think I understand the need for organization, having points of contacts, but I don't think you want to appear like a corporation. And that's effectively what Dash have done. We have like guys calling themselves the VP of business marketing and the VP of finance and all those kind of things, and they don't really represent.
I don't want that.
Yeah, so that's the danger. I mean, I agree though, the organization type thing and contact type thing is good, but just when you're talking to the outside world, you don't want to look like an official with a certain position and authority. You really don't have that authority, and it's deceptive, and it's yeah.
Okay, so for example, if tomorrow some firm like IBM, they turn around and they say, okay, we want to integrate your technology and we want to pay the blockchain a certain amount, but we need to negotiate what we want to do. If they turn around and say they need to negotiate with PIVX what they want to do, how would we possibly enter into negotiations with anybody about anything? How could that?
You can't. You can't as a decentralized organization, unless, I mean, the way around it is to actually form a corporation, such as the PIVX Foundation or something, that is a legal entity. Because if you're like representing PIVX and you say I'm going to negotiate, you don't really have a legal standing, and so if you want to, like, if you need to work in the corporate world with corporations, you should form a non-profit corporation that is for those purposes. You can have all the kind of officers you want there and whatever. It can help the Bitcoin. There's blockchain, but it doesn't. It is for that purpose.
I think essentially, at some point, we're going to have to accept that we're going to have to interact with other corporations. It's all well and good living in our decentralized blockchain world, but eventually we're going to have to accept that we're going to run into other corporations.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying if you are going to interact with a corporation, it's better to do it with the corporate structure. Boundaries are clear and these are clear. rather than kind of half doing it and just having random people that are saying they're representing everybody when really they're not.
Right. So this is the reason why
and they don't have
this is the reason why
any legal standing. Sorry?
Right, so this is the reason why I wanted it to be official and I wanted it to be voted upon. So that it wasn't just me turning around and saying, okay, yeah, I'm food and beverage. If it's voted upon and I've had to go through the whole process, I've had to put for the community, go through all of the steps and record conversations, have hangouts and posts.
You're really garbled up for me. I don't know if everyone else hears
Yeah, I
that.
cannot listen to you either. Yes.
Yeah, same here.
Okay, so all right, so if it's a more official, if I've got a more official position, so I've gone through the stages of trying to get the community or the community consensus has actually proved that the actual community is willing for me to represent PIVX in that matter. Then it's completely different to what Dash are doing, where some guys are saying I'm the VP for finance, because I've actually gone through the system of being voted into my position. It makes me no different to a president or a congressman or a delegate.
That's true. You do. I mean, so you do have a certain authority based on the community, but you still don't have any legal standing anywhere. And corporations, like if they want you to sign a non-disclosure or things like that, you know, it becomes very murky as to what you're really signing. And, you know, or if it's a corporation, it's clearer. There's,
Yeah,
you know,
okay. Yeah, so that's one step, okay, but to do that with somebody who's not been officially and mathematically elected, that's 2 steps. So the point I'm making is companies may well deal with a blockchain knowing that they've got an actual governance structure in place where they've got consensus and they've actually developed a community with systems that are equivalent, if not better, than the same systems that we use to pick presidents, prime ministers, and things like that. If that was in place, okay, they don't have much legal recourse if something goes wrong, but at least they know that on our end, we've done our due diligence. So on that, with that being said, they're more likely to enter into a deal. So say you're a software design company and you're making a new application and you're thinking about putting PIVX in the application, and you're saying to yourself, okay, how much should I charge the PIVX blockchain to put PIVX in the next version of Angry Birds or whatever it may be? Now, you need to be able to negotiate in private. You can't negotiate on Slack or on YouTube or on CNN. You can't negotiate on any public forum because you don't want people to know how much you're getting, how much you're offering, or anything like that. In that case, you need to negotiate in private with a few individuals. And they can't negotiate with anybody who just decides that they want to represent PIVX. It has to be somebody that we as a community have elected for that task. Then those things can take place. And if you can do those things, which no other crypto can do, it opens the world up to a whole raft of financial possibilities. That's the reason why I want us to have a voted upon actual organizational structure.
How about this? First off, I came back because I was just listening at home, and you sucked me in. I wanted to contribute again, so here I am. I think we should. Here's my ideas. I really love what I think it was Cryptosi that said earlier that we should federate this like crazy. We should have a Twitter team, this team, that team, and all these different teams, and whoever's leading those teams should be voted in. And I understand all the motivation for that. But when an outside company comes to us and wants to make a deal, there's the issues that were discussed, and there's also the issue that chances are there isn't one person. Like if we're going to federate it to that fine a detail, there's not going to be one person they need to deal with. There's going to be 5 or 10, right?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if maybe, and then the other issue is those federated teams, like if you have a Twitter team or whatever team, they're going to be pretty fluid, and that's natural and that's normal. There's going to be people come and go, and and who's really leading that team may change more often than our voting happens, right? So I'm we did hit this issue when we were designing the website, the new website. We kind of thought, most websites have one or two of the key players listed as a profile, right? Like here's, to use Dash as an example, they have a lot more listed now, but they used to have, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 people listed and who they were, right? And other sites are similar. They'll have 3 or 4 or whatever, right? We wanted to have something in the new website that'll handle hundreds of profiles, because in our mind, if you're a community member and you're putting in 2 hours a week or 2 hours a month or 20 hours a week, you should have a profile there, because as it was discussed earlier here, when somebody comes to us and they want to know who they should contact, who they need to speak to about, whatever question they have, we should make it easy for them to find that person, right? But anyway, so I'm wondering if to solve what Cryptosi just said, maybe then rather than having a leader of these small federated fluid teams voted in, we have 2, 3, or 4 special people voted in as liaisons or whatever to the corporate world. So they can sign non-disclosure agreements, knowing they are personally liable. There's no corporation to protect them, right? So they better only sign it if they're willing to sign it, and they have that option to not sign it and not continue the deal. But that we have people like that, and then once they've had that communication under the NDA and they know what needs to happen, then they can reach out to members of the community, and the same thing happens. It's like, okay, there's a company that's approached me. I need to talk to you about stuff, but before we talk, you have to sign an NDA that you are personally liable for. If you're not willing to do that, that's fine. Then maybe the deal dies, or you speak to somebody else or whatever. But if we kind of add that layer of functionality to our system, then that could be on top of the system with the way we want it to be, not the way Big Corp wants it to be. Right? Because I would like to see when somebody comes, a Big Corp or some outside individual wants to integrate with our system, I would actually love for them to join our community, discuss on Slack, and submit a proposal and do it the way we want it done. I understand that can't always happen, but if they're in a situation where it can, because an NDA is not required, then that's what we want to happen, right? So we should bias towards that. That's what I'm thinking.
I think that's preferable, but what I would say is all of this is all voluntary, remember. So not every, if we do federate, not every single element has to be the same. So if you've got a section for web design, or you've got a section for dark web integration, the two different parts of our PIVX will have totally different roles, and therefore can be set up in totally different ways. So it's not to say that every single one will have to have 3 members or 5 members or 4 members or 1 member who can access this. Like, every single one will be set up in different ways. So some will be purely liaison purposes. It can be that fluid, because it can be whatever we want it to be. So we don't have to follow a strict corporate structure, but we don't have to follow such a loose swarm structure. We can do what we want wherever the situation dictates.
So maybe if they need to integrate their software with all our social media feeds, let's say as an example, rather than speaking to, the small federated team of just Twitter or just Facebook or just whatever, maybe there's a federated team for social media as a whole, and they go to that person?
Yeah. Because we could even have a federated team for social media as a whole, and then also a team for Twitter. We could have both. And then we could have members that are on one and also on another. If we feel the need to have an official role, someone just proposes it. If we don't feel the need for an official role, it doesn't get proposed. And even if it does get proposed, it doesn't stop somebody from opening up PIVX to that at Twitter or PIVX Instagram, even though we haven't got an official role. If they want to do it, they can do it. Like, everyone can do whatever they want to do. It has to be voluntary. But if you want it to be official, then it has to be voted in. Whether the vote is masternodes only or including stakers, whichever way.
I think, guys, let me hook in here, playing a little bit devil's advocate. Wouldn't be PIVX the better Bitcoin if it would be run like the Dash as it was meant to be, but without governance, or without the intentions to become corporated or have corporation structures?
Like,
I mean, why do you need it anyway? I mean, you're talking about things like a company.
guys, I'm gonna have to love you and leave you. I've got to go. I've got plenty of drinks to drink, so I'll I'll catch you all in the Slack tomorrow.
Look forward to it.
All
right, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah,
Okay.
Marcus,
See you.
sorry.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, Marcus. So I do agree there. Everyone's still in this call. Yeah.
Well, think about it this way. Like, what is a decentralized? It's decentralization is the wrong word. It's distributed, right? So a distributed would be distributed teams, and it would be like little like visual like this, like circles with lines connecting each other. Each circle can be like clumped up with other circles, and that would be like a whole team. But each one of those circles is like specific to like say Steemit or Instagram, like you guys were saying, or whatever else. But then after that, you have a whole other set of teams that does everything else, and then it all kind of has to meet somewhere to kind of have a brain, right? So to kind of have decisions be made. So you have a body that's just their job is just to kind of help facilitate these decisions, and like they are held accountable for that. And you know, those people are voted in and out, which would be helpful to have a 1 through 10 voting mechanism built in to kind of, you know, have everyone rated in a sense, like, you know, like a Yelp for representatives or whatever, you know, like the government would have set up if they were actually well intentioned. Something like that, I think, would work, like a change.org, you know.
Yeah. So obviously we're trying. I am assuming here, but I would assume that these type of discussions for fair governance has been discussed by many different teams, many different crypto, many different companies, and so on. Surely we're trying to discuss on what's best. I'm assuming there are examples already. You know, there are people many smart people in the world who's probably created very good governance systems already. Do we have any examples? Do we have any, you know, short list of top 5 or top 3, which we would like to work towards? And if it doesn't fit exactly what we want, we could, you know, slightly modify that instead of completely trying to reinvent the wheel. You know, write a 20-page governance system or something like that. Is there anything? Obviously, there's Marcus's format, and yeah, that's great. So if we could have more of those type of examples, at least we have some base to go on instead of just completely brainstorming ideas, and then I think we are losing a lot of these ideas at the end.
Right, so I can say that you haven't heard about my governance system yet. I was still trying to elaborate, to get to know you better and to know what PIVX is and what you think about PIVX, because the more I know, the better can be my proposal. And I think I really don't want to sound like a big head, but to my opinion, there is no governance system out there that is well thought out. Sorry, I have really to trash here the Ethereum classic governance system. It's quite good, it's nice, but it's business centric. Fail. It's nothing for community. The same goes to some extent to Fermat as well. Honestly, it is, to my opinion, the best thought out, but a lot of things were not incorporated. A lot of things that I wanted to get through were not integrated because of the thing that we like to bootstrap quite quickly, and we have third-party people in, and yeah, we just. Everybody has a promise that we set it up and then later on we change it. So, but there is no governance system out there that is truly thinking community centric and not even thinking like a distributed system, but saying, how can we find a system that is without roles that rule, without or a thing like Bitcoin, completely decentralized, but still effective. And most people just, or most governance systems fail in that point because they always start from, we need to have a foundation, we need to have an entity, we need to have some guy that is talking to businesses. No, we don't need. Why? Explain me why. It's not necessary. If we have a complete decentralized, not distributed system with community voting enabled of all those people that like to vote, and honestly, most people don't want to, they don't need to. We don't. Yeah, so only excellences or people that are in the topic will vote. Yeah? It's proven in the world. I mean, the far right wing parties, they just have 5%, or in America they don't even make it. They are just two big parties. Yeah, so really strange views will not make it. This is swarm intelligence, and why not having a completely decentralized system, but where where is an equilibrium of powers? Because most people think that if we set up a very democratic system, they are just twisting at the symptoms. They are not really going deep into the power level. Where is power coming from? What incentives do whales have? Why is a stakeholder acting differently than a node runner? Why is a node runner acting differently than my mom that is just using my instant transfer because it's feasible and fungible. It's better than money, maybe even. So no governance system yet, to my opinion, is really looking how society works and how we could build a crypto society. A society that is not bound to states, not bound to nations, not really bound to anything, not even to business. And still working, still running, and still letting from swarm intelligence the best ideas coming up, and through merit system getting those innovated and intervene and set up, build up. This is my idea and my questions I have. And I have an idea for that, but it's a little bit too early, and I have to adopt it a little bit to the PIVX thing, and I will happily present you that in a couple of days. But these are my thoughts I have, and I would like to know if this is falling on a fruity soil when I'm talking to you, or if you say, no, we want to do a good distributed dash. That's it.
I actually agree with you there. See, we currently inherited the dash system. Obviously, we are, and obviously it was a good idea with good intentions initially. I would assume. So basically, anyone with enough skin in the game is allowed to vote, right? So that's the dash masternode system, or that what we use right now, or what we have. And but why does it need to be limited to, I guess, masternode owners? If you have a skin in the game in any form, obviously lower it right down so that it's very low. Everyone has, or we allow more of the community to be able to vote if they really care. And at the same time, definitely, as Marcus said, bad ideas just don't pass usually. Really, and if it does pass, maybe it wasn't such a bad idea to many people or the community. So if somebody, obviously, if it passes 51% to 49%, it's I don't know what our pass mark will be when we actually do our governance system. What is it for yours, Marcus? At which point do you actually make it a pass?
Let's say, normally, if you have a fight between yes and no votes, then you need to have I think more than 30%, but it still has to be reviewed then, something like this.
Yep.
So I mean, yeah.
So
there are mechanisms. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I think currently with our masternode, it's like 10% or something. If there's more than 10% yeses or something than no's, I think it's a pass. Something really low, I believe. Right now with masternode votes, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's what it is as far as I know. So yeah, well, I guess there's a lot of things to work out in that form, but I do want more of the community to vote. It's really a matter of us deciding, or us, or the community of PIVX, right? It's as if we're sort of the more insiders at the moment, or I don't know what you call it, but so it's a matter of us to decide as a whole, as a community, that what direction we want to take PIVX in, what type of community coin that we've been calling ourselves, the swarm, methodology and so on. If we really want to go that route, do we really want to still go with Dash system that, or a corporate model that we actually sort of don't want, right? That a lot of people probably joined this community as a darknet because it was darknet, something which is not so centralized, not so, very private, very secure, and so on. So, it's a matter of, do we want to go the corporate model? Do we want to really keep it decentralized? Try something unique. So try something which other coins do not have. To allow bigger and wider engagement of the world, the people in the world. People do their best usually when they feel that they have control, they have some say in any system.
When they contribute, when people can contribute, they do their best. When you give people,
that's right. I obviously joined this community because I felt that I wanted to help, obviously for my self benefit as well, and so on. And nobody stopped me, and nobody should really, unless I was doing something stupid, really. And so on. And we are constantly growing our community very slowly at the moment. But yeah, so we keep wanting volunteers, and we keep wanting people who will step up to help out, create videos, create this, and so on. We do, if we do the corporate model, it's like we have to hire them, we have to pay them. It's a very different model. It might not grow as quick. We've got to sort of base ourselves on how other coins are doing it, and are they really successful? We really need to do case studies on those to determine how we want to go.
Yes, tell me one token or one coin where you see that it's bringing value into the world today. Which one today? And you see that it's less than a handful. Yeah, maybe just one or two, and maybe 3 next year, maybe 10 the years after. But what makes those cryptocurrencies out there special? And then I get a lot of technical answers like, yeah, this coin is instant transfer. The other coin is without transfer costs, yeah, the EOTangle. Or, all this. But come on, we have the possibility to change how the world is running. We can exchange local authorities, or at least some of their services, by the blockchain. We can kick out companies and intermediates. Yeah? So we just can have peer-to-peer, federated, distributed, decentralized, however you call it. We can have a peer-to-peer access from one people to the other. And maybe the transaction is just in between, that's all. And the transaction is anonymous. So it would, to my opinion, would be a great fail to start today with a new coin and just trying to be a better coin than the others. And to have a better corporate model or a better federation model. We can do more, can't we?
What we can do is huge. I've been working for 10 years in a home office, and I knew Chad from the creative space from way back when, and I just realized, you know what, the walls felt like they were closing in. There was too many home distractions. My son would show up with all his friends while I was still trying to get some work done, and of course that's normal. So I went and rented a desk at the creative space. It's a co-working facility, and so there's probably 30 other people there. that all are a one-man show for their consulting business or their web design business or SEO, but it's all internet-related businesses there. And it's amazing how many ideas just pop up that you would never have thought of before because you are now part of that small community, right? So one of the ideas that popped up, I'm not going to discuss right now, but I can tell you it could be huge. Chances are it's going to fail. But if you get enough great ideas, eventually one of them is going to fly. And this one idea has a chance to like take PIVX to a very big level without centralizing. We can stay completely decentralized, and we can let the powers to be come and bend to meet us instead of us bending to meet them. So I think that if we just stick to our ideals and we continue to grow the community, eventually somebody in the community is going to have some other type of skill set or business that's going to open up a huge opportunity that we can run with. So I think we just stick to our guns and keep going. We don't know exactly what that opportunity is going to be in the future, but we know it's there.
Yeah, so I guess one of the discussions that or one of the things that we really need to sort out immediately or very quickly, regardless of what system we use, we as Cryptosy said, maybe we're not ready to make a new system immediately. Maybe it'll take a long time anyway. So try to make best of use of what we have right now, at least, so that we can get some budgeting system going, because we do have 10% of our block reward constantly being available for that, without asking for donations from any people. So if we can somehow at least harness that system for now, or make use of it, I'm assuming that is getting fixed by the developers, but at the end, it is funding that we can use at least for marketing, if not for anything else right now. So I think that is a priority.
I agree. Cryptosy is going to run with it as soon as he can, and I think at a real high level, it's fix the bug. Developers on it now, so that'll get done quick. And then we pick a very simple proposal and run it through the system. The system as it is right now, right, as rudimentary as it is, and then regroup and figure out how to make another big step forward. And then parallel with that, continue to have discussions like this on what that end goal is of where we want it to be, and run that direction.
This sounds really reasonable to me. Okay, what I heard so far, my proposal to you would be following, or just my advice, because my advice would be first start immediately getting a kind of values or manifesto ready that all agree on, because with that, and this one can lie in the future, it's no problem. Yeah, you can really look far into the future. The manifesto just means what the developers have to orientate on the next developing steps. So it is not changing anything today. It can't. So if you have your values right set up, you have a kind of manifesto set up, then at the same time the bug is getting fixed, the budget system is getting set up, and the first things get starting rolling and so on. Maybe you do the Zcoin or Zcash, I don't know, Zcoin integration, and while doing this, you could develop a kind of visionary. How should the PIVX coin of the future be? And this one, if the community agrees on that one, while still the system is already running and proving that you are capable of doing this, with fixing the bug, fixing the dash problems, because this is not difficult now, honestly. To fix dash problems, you're half on the way. You have the right ideas and whatever. So while doing this, you prove the community that your vision is reachable, that you can make it, and you aim for this. And if all agree on that vision, it still doesn't mean that everything has to change, the master nodes have to be ditched or whatever. It means just this is our goal where we want to go to. And the new guys that come into the game and they set up master nodes, they have to read this and agree to this. Or they just, influencers will talk to people, and the press will look, and other developers will look to your project or to our project and will just see wow, those guys tried to do something different than all the other coins. What they have today, and they proved it, they were building a better Dash system, okay, but that's state of the art. What is state of tomorrow? So, and they have quite good plans. And then after this, then you work on a new governance model. So fixing now the Dash governance model, it's not too hard. Don't put too much effort into it, just fix it. Do the reward system. And then look to the future as the next step. Otherwise, PIVX is just a better Dash, which is awesome. But yeah, what do you think about that?
You know, we haven't really discussed that topic. I know that what you just said is perfectly in line with how I feel. I assume everybody else thinks big like that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure I caught everything there, but yeah, I think we want to do something more than just be another coin or slightly better than something else.
I mean, we know we don't want to be Dash 2.0. We want to be different than Dash completely. We want to be very community-based, very privacy-based, right? But what Marcus just described is like an order of magnitude, you know, bigger thinking. And I don't think among our group we've really talked to that length, to that topic. But
you can.
Yeah.
You know that. You know that.
I agree. Oh, I know that. Yeah, but I haven't had that discussion with others that I can recall. So.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, we're open to it. We should talk about it more. I haven't. Me personally, I'm just kind of getting up to speed with everything, and you know, trying to get things functional and stuff. So that's where all the focus is for me. So, but again, open to new ideas.
What my proposal would be now for the next step and action steps is that I'm going to present you a kind of PIVX vision. And this is certainly my point of view. This is certainly, this will adapt, and you can say always no or yes, whatever, but I would like to present you my vision of what PIVX could be and put it on the table for discussion. And I'm quite sure that maybe even if it's just 50% or 60% of them, if you agree on that, then something really big could be made. And from that point, it's easy to start streamlining the processes. And then we have this corporate structures, because you have a goal, you have a vision, and then all the people in a kind of crowd intelligence or something start heading for this far future goal. And this far future goal is maybe just 2 years, or maybe even less, because Fermat is working on parts of this. So there's a lot we can just incorporate from them. From there, things will evolve completely differently, and the developers have a different view of what they are doing today, because they know they do it for tomorrow. They have a vision, and from there we can maybe get all these folks from .NET into our boat, because we guarantee them. Our manifesto says privacy first, instant transfers, and this and that. So all the values that they love. And there is no corporation that the government can attack and forbid. There is no point of failure, because it's decentralized. There is maybe the IPF file system integrated into the blockchain that they cannot take down websites from us. Yeah, and still it's connected to MasterCard and Visa systems, so people can just cash out their PIVX at the next ATM machine. It's not big, guys. It's normal. We just have to put them together, all the options, and then put it on the table and say, hey, mom, look here. PIVX is cool. What is PIVX? You don't know PIVX. PIVX is easy. Look, decentralized, anonymous. Yeah, okay, don't care. Can I pay with that? Yes, here, go to the next ATM machine, cash out. Bam. And I don't know of any coin that is trying to deliver this. And I don't know, understand why. If you look at Ethereum Classic, they could have made it, but they fail somehow because I'm not sure if it's Charles or whoever, the guys there, they think in corporations. They think in, we have to talk to banks. They, you know, they believe in the state. They believe in that, to me, they are not inter-Nazis, yeah? So international socialists. They believe in laws, in all this kind of things, but we shouldn't do it. We should just do what people need, and that's all. And PIVX could do it, to my opinion.
I agree 100%, and I would love to see that from you, Marcus. And thanks in advance.
Yeah, sounds good to me too.
Yeah, cool. I mean, good. I don't know how long I need, maybe 4 days or something. So expect something during the week from me. I will put it to the table, bring it on the table, and we'll make a presentation for you. And then from there we can see how things evolve further. That does not mean that the things how they are running today need to be changed immediately, because today we need to fix daily business. We need to fix the bugs. We need to get it up and running. And maybe it's really not the worst idea to fix Dash, but it is a bad idea to try to build a better Dash. And then you're just a better Dash. Yeah,
we already have a manifesto on our site, but perhaps it's not the same as what you're describing. But I don't think there's anything in the manifesto on the new site that contradicts what you're saying. If anything, yours just builds on it.
Great. Good. Cool.
Okay, on that note, guys, I'm going to have to go. So it's been great chatting with you, and hope we do this again sometime in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should call it a good.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank you, John. Bye-bye.
And have good breakfast. Bye.
So, okay, so Sarah was trying to say goodbye too, but somehow it's not working on her side. But this was really deep stuff. I mean, it was really nice talking to you guys. I really enjoyed it. Awesome.
Me too, Marcus.
Yeah, Jay, nice meeting you. It's the first time that we are talking, and it was fun. Yeah, I really liked it.
Me too. Yeah, it was great.
So okay, I will try the next days to get this up and make a presentation to you, how we could build a kind of crypto society. Let's call it, I mean, it sounds weird, yeah, but in the end, it is nothing else than this. A crypto society cannot be built, or you can build it like a state. You can try to invent laws and bring people with machine gun in place that enforce those laws, and then suddenly all from children's age you learn to obey to these rules and laws, and then suddenly you have functioning society. But our goal should be to strip it out, yeah, to everything strip out, and just to stick to the core values. So it is really important that the core values are worked out in the beginning. They have to be on the website, that everybody can see. And now imagine you're a banker and you come to the PIVX website and you see the core values. Honestly, which banker is not thinking, oh, those are great? Every banker, even if his name is Rothschild or whatever, they will see the values and think, wow, cool. So, and from there, things evolve. And then if you see that this is not able to be taken down, there is no entity you can attack. Like Bitcoin, it died 700 times yeah, but still, and now it's more worth than gold. So there is a lot of opportunities to set this kind up. And if you just bring an equilibrium of power into such a system, and you explain to the community how such a system works and how the power is going and coming and working, then the community itself will regulate and look and take care after them. And you don't need a judge and a law, but the community itself will raise the fingers or raise their voice when it's needed. Normally they don't do, because the people that run the masternodes or the people that run a chapter, for example, yeah, those are those people that are involved in a daily, day-to-day basis. They do a good job, but everybody trusts them. That's why they are in this place. But if shit hits the fan, then the community always has the possibility to change something, to raise their voice or whatever. So, and if you tell this, the people, if you say, hey, community, we know you are just a user, and this is fine because we need you. It's in the end, it's all about you. It's about my mother. She has to pay with PIVX at the supermarket. And if this is not possible, PIVX has no value to her. And we need to address this. And if we can do this, and technology makes us free, and it gives us the ability at that point, then PIVX could become huge. Because no other coin has the guts to try doing this. I see, if you look now at the governance system for Ethereum Classic, it's well thought out, but it's business-centric. And Dash is business-centric. Just Bitcoin gives a fuck, but Bitcoin is taken over and raided by a cloud farmer.
Blockstream, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, there is a point of failure. There's a point of failure in Bitcoin that we could fix.
And I don't see, okay, Bitcoin has the lead because they have the first mover advantage. And then there's, you know, Ethereum or Dash, they came because there's a big vacuum and they have, you know, they're unique, they're different than Bitcoin, and they filled that vacuum. But, you know, then the next, what we're talking about is the power of community, right? And if, you know, when we get to that point where everyone is, you know, using PIVX at a shopping supermarket to buy their food or whatever, and you are giving power to the individual to vote, I don't see where the next level is. I don't think anybody can take it to the next level to beat us at something we're weak at, because we're the community. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. That's the point. You got it. You nailed it. That's the point. Certainly, we are not there in the beginning, and people will say, yeah, concerning, and if somebody is multiplying his wallet to have more votes, certainly this will happen. This is going to happen. We cannot, but that's life. Yeah, but if the community is big enough, strong enough, great enough, and if there are real concerns and the community thinks this is going in a complete different direction, we don't like it, then they have the possibility to raise their voice, which they don't have today in a normal state. We don't have it.
Even if that member of the PIVX community realizes that their voice is a small voice, because they own so little PIVX, it's not the point. The point is they know that there are many, many, many people just like them who probably think the same way and will vote the same way, and the vote matters.
Yes.
Yes, I think so. Even if we allow multiple people to actually create multiple wallets to vote, it's fine. It means he really is interested in PIVX, right? Obviously, there'll be competitors who's trying to do that, but he needs to own PIVX to do it anyway, and so on. This power of the community, I still think that Bitcoin is still tiny in terms of globally. So the market is still very large compared to what Bitcoin and Ethereum and a few coins actually own. So yeah,
I agree, and given that the end game is community, the game now also needs to be community. And because that gives us a very different advantage. I'm trying to think of how to explain this. I hope this works. I come from an engineering background, and there was times when I was in automotive engineering, and I found that everybody was very, very focused on the job title they had. Not the job they were doing, but the title. It was all about pride, right? And so the designer was actually doing engineering. The engineering was actually doing project management. And the project managers were actually doing program management. So they were all like reaching a little bit too high for the title. They were actually doing something else. And it was all about title. And I think, you know, one of the things we discussed earlier tonight was that when people need to find out who to deal with, you know, they should be able to find that person. But does that person have a title that's like manager of social media? No, I don't think so. Maybe it's tamed down. It's social media lead, or even tamed down further, social media contact. Like, and that could be like a rotating title. If there's 5 people on the team that it rotates or something like that. So there does need to be some kind of a definition so that we can find, so outside people can find out who to talk to. But I don't think we want any kind of like org chart that's like multi-levels. We want it flat, 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 because we're community. Done. Right? And then it starts to message there.
Yeah, that's actually how good Marcus and Sarah joined, right? Is the now Sarah's part of the community, Marcus as well. I really like how this was done so far. As a community, we go, yep, Sarah can have our Twitter account. Yep, John says the same thing, and so on, and she just gets it. There's it's a matter of, and obviously there wasn't, and it was all done in a public manner. Obviously not at BCT thread or Twitter or anything, but at least in Slack, and everyone had, it was a public channel, so everyone has access to it if they really want to see it, and there was no opposing voices, so that's how we go.
That's how it goes. Exactly. And this is what attracted me to PIVX, honestly, guys. The reason why I'm here is because of this. That's exactly the example. Otherwise I would went to another project, because suddenly I don't have much time. But CryptoC was dragging me into this project, and the way how you handle it in public is exactly how it goes. That's community. No roles, no this. Just bring it to the table, and if nobody has objections, and one objection is really bad, because then you have to have good reasons to get it through. So one objection is 5 negative votes against you, and you have to address all concerns. And if nobody has objections, then go for it. Just do it.
This is hilarious, because Marcus, the main reason we were that open, like it was mentioned earlier that, you know, we had a vote on what name to change to, and what logo, and what color, and all that. You know, the reason we made that so open and so public was because the proposal system was broken. So and we did not want anyone to have any ammunition to say somebody dictated. We wanted to make sure that, you know, the community was involved as much as possible. And a lot of people, they're quick to criticize, they're quick to, like, maybe they'll just like listen, and then there's a certain group of people that get involved, and it'd be nice if that percentage was higher. But, you know, it is what it is. And so quite often we were hoping more people would get involved, and they didn't. But at least we made sure we did what we could to inform everybody. And if they wanted to get involved, they could. Yes. And they voted. And I did not get the logo I wanted. I did not get the color I wanted. I did not get the name I wanted. We're moving forward, and everybody's happy. So
exactly. Yeah. Maybe this is the future, how things could go. Yeah. And let me give you one example for you to think about when you go to bed. For me, it's very late, but I want to show you something to think about if we take the whole thing even one step further. Imagine now you have a complete, quite flat structure. Nobody is the ruler, the owner, the whatever. You have a fluid system of leaders. Everything is in the public, is discussed in public. Everybody can raise concerns, and then imagine how things. If you now go to Twitter, or if you come into this community and you like to get involved into Twitter, so how do you do it in this kind of system? Today, people are looking for the Twitter responsible person. So this is corporation thinking. In Bitcoin, how do you do it in Bitcoin? You cannot join Bitcoin, but you can join the Bitcoin community, but not the one Bitcoin community. This is exactly what I was writing in my article, Port of Fermat Chapters. Imagine now, if you like to join PIVX in the future, or if you like to join Bitcoin today, similar, you have just to go to the next Bitcoin meetup in your area, in your town. You meet some Bitcoin freaks and they say something, and if you say, hey, I like to Twitter about Bitcoin, they say, why are you not doing it? Do it. Yeah, but I need a responsible person that is doing the Twitter account for Bitcoin. What? How come? You cannot. Just do it. Yeah, but I want to get more involved into this whole thing. So, yeah, then maybe you go to the Bitcoin chapter. No, but to the core group. This is also a point of failure. The core group of Bitcoin. No, this is I don't like it. But you cannot get into Bitcoin. You just are using Bitcoin and promoting it or not. And those guys that develop Bitcoin, they lock themselves up. They are kind of, they're sitting in their tower like God in white, like doctors or so. Yeah, they nobody can get to them and so on. This is bad. So this is maybe not the best example, but I just wanted to show you what is if PIVX is getting a kind of decentralized structure like chapters are, and there is nobody responsible for anything. It is the chapters or the communities themselves in their local area, not bound to a city, not bound to whatever. It's just people that gather and they do it, they use it. The only question is, how can you make a consistent development in this? This is the million-dollar question.
Do you need
this
to?
This is where governance comes maybe into, but yeah, you nailed it. You don't need to maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it needs to be biased or weighted towards the right decisions, but does it always need to be the perfect decision each time? No, probably not.
No. And if you want to make changes, you just do it. And then you configure your client, the IOP node or the Bitcoin node or the PIVX node, and you do it. And the other nodes don't accept you. So what are you doing? You're bringing in a kind of contribution. Proposal. Yeah? You say, okay, I want to have this or that be done. And then this is going decentralized peer-to-peer like BitTorrent today. Huh? So everybody gets in his BitTorrent client or in his PIVX client, in his wallet, in his voting wallet, gets a new proposal. We like to change the system. And then you look, who is it? Jose Julius Javavas, I don't know. Okay, and then you look, oh, this is a great proposal. I never thought about that. Hey, the guys from the other side of the planet can think too. Yeah, so, but yeah, sometimes this is maybe magic. And then you can say vote yes or vote no. And if nobody has objections and they get it through, then certainly everybody is making sure that the wallets are being updated to the valid new version. Otherwise, the tokens are locked. I mean, you can even bring incentives into it that they are doing it then really. If your wallet is locked, you have to upgrade. Because, so there are a lot of possibilities. This is governance now. How do you enforce it? Enforce it without having a ruler and laws.
Looks like we lost him.
He just dropped out.
Oh, well, we'll give him a minute to come back. But it sounds like we're wrapping up.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but it is not a normal way that obviously everyone runs anything. But at the same time, it's a great one, I think. If we can if we can figure out a way of getting good consensus, that everyone can participate. You know, being open. That's how any crypto sort of starts, right? You have one dev who creates a coin, go, yeah, everyone just join mine, do whatever you want with this coin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's how it starts. So why does it suddenly need to change your corporate model after? Obviously, I do see some limitations or some difficulties it can have by being so widely open or flat. But at the same time, I don't know if anybody's really tried it or
if you don't focus on community and decisions need to be made, and somebody there is of the corporate mindset, they will step in and start making decisions and start grabbing power and dragging it in that direction. That's just how human nature works, right? But if you've got a big enough community and people to step up and, you know, answer questions or make decisions as a community, then that person with the corporate bias doesn't get a chance, right?
That's right. I think, like with our voting, right? The fact that we only had to say 30 votes when we had 100 people in Slack, basically the other 70 probably didn't actually have any objections, maybe didn't care whatever color. So they did participate in that sense. That's what I think anyway. So the fact that people who voted really wanted their say in, but the people who didn't vote, they still put their say in. They just didn't vote. So people actually vote or make noise when they sometimes really don't like what's happening or don't like the way they want it to. So they'll voice their concerns, and if many people agree to that, maybe it will happen as well. So I think it works it works both ways. It's not as scary as some or all of us think that it could be. Yeah.
Yeah. You're one of the few people that really from the beginning understand what I want to, because we just feel the same. But most people have objections because they were trained their whole life not to believe that free people can build something great. Because normally we have bad experience. Most people are dumb in certain points. So, or they are just have no knowledge and still want to participate and do stupid things. But if you put it really, if you say, hey, if you want to, you can contribute. And if you don't want to, you don't need to. We are open. We just do what we need to do to get this forward. So, and from there, only those people contribute that really need a voice in that moment. And if you do something that is harming the system, then the people start to rally. Then the people start to gather. And never forget, a negative vote is more worth than a positive vote. That means it's not so easy to bring something, to get something through when the community is against it, because they outnumber and outpower you.
When I first joined the Google Hangout today, I was late and I heard that comment about a no vote is it 5? Is it 5 times more votes? Anyway,
this is in Fermazzo, but
yeah.
We could change this. It's
right. But I thought to myself, whoa, that can't work. But I just bit my tongue and I listened and I thought it through. And then I remember afterwards when Chad and I were both leaving his office and the co-working facility, we're quickly chatting about it. And I said, you know what? It kind of like means that it's not just an okay proposal, it's a good proposal. It's like a way to kill mediocrity. It's either excellent or it doesn't get done. And you know, that's how we kind of summarize it. So now I'm completely on the different side. Like at the beginning of the call, I thought, whoa, it's got to be 1-to-1. And now I'm realizing, no, there's huge value in that. So
exactly, the trick behind this mechanism is that the socially thing is we have to understand people are not equal. Yeah, people are not the same, and people don't have the same intentions, and they don't behave the same. But everybody is the same worth. Every people and animal on the planet is the same worth. So if somebody has objections, then we need to listen to this. And if you make a proposal on a completely voluntary open system, normally people tend not to vote, and this is a passive yes. Not to vote means do whatever you want. I trust you. It's awesome. Not to vote means if it means you still have my support. The system is running fluid. I like it. Go for it.
Oh,
I
this
have
is
nothing
powerful.
to
This is
say.
powerful.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and if you if somebody is making a bad proposal and the people, let's say in South America, the people don't like a new change in the protocol because it would affect their daily life in the Amazonas jungle, they will kill the trees or whatever. Yeah, they rally and make huge negative no votes because they have strong objections against it. So the proposal will not go through in the first beginning, and they have to listen now to the people that voted no. Why? What's going on there?
Marcus, have you seen the draft of our new website?
Yes, I've seen. I haven't read everything, but Zara was showing it to me.
Okay, good. So I just want to put one thought in your head, and that is that, you know, you may, when the site launches in a couple days, we're actually ready to launch now, but we want to make sure people that are going to tweet and blog and all that stuff are ready. When you do see the final version go live, you're probably going to say, oh, guys, you need to add this, or you missed the boat on this, or that's a little bit wrong. I wouldn't say it that way. Don't take that as we're in disagreement. I would, you know, my message to you would be that it's just because we're wrapping our head around this different way of doing things as quickly as we can, and perhaps it's not quick enough. But so if you see stuff that's that's not right, you know, bring it up in one of these Google Hangouts, and we'll probably have a quick discussion and end up getting it changed on the website. So
yeah, cool. I think also I think this is even if it just goes on like this in PIVX, it's still a great project. It's awesome. It's great. Yeah. I just want to get some people together that maybe think, hey, we can do even more. Because if I look around today, most of those coins have a lacking of a future value for the people. They concentrate on being transactionless or being high transferable, or you know, all those things, and these are just features. But
community.
yes, we have the time to change how the power we can flip over the power systems. The local authorities suddenly will have to listen to the people that are in the internet interconnected, and they will do. Yeah? In some countries they will fight against it. In other countries they will just incorporate it. And imagine if those people start to invent their liquid democracy. If they invent liquid democracy, where people can bring up their objections to the table, not every 4th or 5th year, but at any time, tonight, just because I'm drunk. Yeah? I'm drunk and I say, no, I don't like it. And no, I give him a negative vote. Vote, no, no, no. Yeah, okay. So the weight of those votes are suddenly changing. And this is a fluid process. And this,
so the moral of the story is never submit a proposal on a Friday night when everybody's drinking.
Exactly. Yeah, but you know what I mean? I mean, this is putting pressure on local authorities, because this system is working obviously better than the old brick democracy system. Because this is not democracy, come on. So you don't have it in nowhere in the world. So, but we could do it. We could show it, and we could make commercials and advertisements and saying, PIVX, the only democracy in the world.
Oh, I like that.
Where is democracy? Yeah, it's on the blockchain. Ah, okay, and how? What is the name of your station? Your nation? Yeah, blockchain nation or bit nation or something like this. Yeah. So yeah, we could change the things.
By the way, an example is it something like what Dogecoin did with NASCAR advertising, you know, a while back? That was just amazing how they could pull that off.
Yeah, please explain. Please explain. I don't know it. Explain me.
So Dogecoin had this. They basically monetized a meme, right? They have this like cute little dog, and they paid for an advertisement to sponsor a car in the NASCAR race. That's what Jay's talking about.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, the dog coin. Yeah, doggy coin. Yeah.
So somehow they saw an opportunity to, virtual currencies were new, and they had this cute mascot, and it was a meme, and they monetized it. And I don't know that we could, we could do advertising, but I don't know whether we can leverage the same things they did. So.
Okay, I really got to go this. So, really nice talking to you all. Yeah, well, hopefully we'll have more of these.
Good talking to you,
cool.
Jay. Thanks for everything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you guys. Or
All right.
See.
Was it just the three of us left and it being late for you, Marcus? Are we wrapping it up now? It's late for you too, Sarah.
Yes.
yeah, definitely. I'm yawning all the time.
What time
But
is it
it's
for you?
good listening to. It's 1:15
Midnight?
in the morning.
Oh, 1:15. Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Good thing it's Saturday night.
For Friday, it's not that late.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Thank you both, and we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes,
Good night.
definitely.
Yeah.
See you.
Bye bye.